In this sequel, set 11 years after The Terminator, young John Connor, the key to civilization's victory over a future robot uprising, is the target of the shape-shifting T-1000, a Terminator sent from the future to kill him. Another Terminator, the revamped T-800 model, has been sent back to protect the boy. As John and his mother go on the run with the T-800, the boy forms an unexpected bond with the robot, and the fight for the future starts today. Welcome to another feature presentation of Midnight Double Feature. On this episode, we'll be covering 1991's Terminator 2 Judgment Day, directed by James Cameron.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Midnight Double Feature. We're covering Terminator 2 Judgment Day. We're here, man. We are here. We're going back to back with two seminal movies that kind of like made us, that really kind of shaped us and our love for genre, I guess. Last week, 2 weeks ago with Blade Runner 1982 from Ridley Scott, and of course this week with James Cameron's Terminator 2. Colin, how you doing? How you feeling? Are you nervous? I'm a little nervous about this one, to be honest.
Yes, man, somewhat. I think there's definitely a lot to talk about, and there's a lot of like the impact of the movie, like in general, and also just like its impact on like sci-fi, but also like its its place in really like cinema history and action film and sci-fi, and there's just like all these different levels to it that I'm excited to talk about and get into.
Yeah, I completely agree, man. Like this is one of the most man. I don't love the word iconic, because just it's so the word iconic is just so overused. Like it's used to explain everything, but this you can't deny like that status with this movie. Like every time a movie rolls around, like an action movie. Like I remember when Fury Road rolled around, it was like, oh my God, it's one of the best action films since Terminator 2. And like, everything is like judged to this standard, I put like, obviously this is my pick, so everyone goddamn knows I love this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I was not on the podcast where you, Danny, and Matt covered Terminator 1.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't. Yeah, ages ago. So I haven't really had the chance to really express my views on this franchise as a whole. I did talk about the franchise as a whole on the bonus episode last week when we talked about Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines. I obviously love this franchise, even the not amazing ones. Terminator 1 is just it's like this little sort of great sort of like action slasher film. Obviously this is one of the greatest films of all time, in my opinion. Terminator 3 is decent. I think it gets a lot of hate. Salvation is okay. I rewatched Salvation again this week. Just kind of like on the treadmill, and I'm like, you know what, this is really dull and uninspired, but it's kind of well made. There's like a lot of great practical effects and shit in that one. Genesis is fine, it's pretty bad. Dark Fate is fine, it's pretty bad as well, but it's just it's like, how many times can you do this? Right. How many times can you go back to the well? And this is the one where they just really perfected the formula. They really perfected the vibe that the T-800, aka Schwarzenegger, should have with whoever is protecting, in this case, John Connor. And just the way, like, where James Cameron puts his like camera, the score, the cinematography, the vibe of it. Robert Patrick as the T-1000. It's absolutely, everything feels like a miracle, just all coming together to create this slice of holy shit, the holy grail movie.
Yeah, right. Well, it's like you said. I agree with everything you said. It's this incredible monument of filmmaking, and even like a really important cornerstone of the 90s. When you think of movies that came out in the 90s, Terminator is on like the top top 10, if not top 5 of that list of like ultimate movies of that decade. And just, I mean, honestly, just in general. And I think that there's so many different levels to it, just as like a popcorn action flick. If you want to get really, really deep into it and start talking about fate and, like, can people change the course of their destiny, and what does the T-800 represent, blah, blah, blah. And if you want to do that, you can, or you can just watch them shoot stuff. It's either way, or both.
And that's exactly what I did when I watched this movie for the first time as a 10-year-old. So,
sure.
On last week's bonus episode, I talked about Terminator 3 being my first Terminator film. My brother and I watched that at the movies. That's how we were introduced to it. And then I was like, oh my God, all right, like I got to watch the rest of these. So we rented Terminator 2 Judgment Day shortly after that, and just immediately fell in love with it. Immediately. Like, it didn't look like it aged much. Like, it was so fun. It was brutal. I remember, like, it was one of the first films that we watched with like F bombs in it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just straight up F bombs. Dude, when Sarah's like in in the in Pescadero watching the video of herself and she's just going off, I remember that almost giving me nightmares. Like, I remember that, like, she is
you
terrifying.
Having nightmare of her having nightmares, like,
yeah. She is absolutely terrifying in that sequence. And then I went back and watched the first one. So I went 3, 2, 1. That's exactly how I watch these movies. So like when John references, he tells his mate with the mullet mate. I'm gonna call him mullet mate.
Mm-hmm.
When he tells mullet mate that his mum got sent up to Pescadero for blowing up a computer factory, I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. No worries.
Yeah. No big deal.
Yeah, I guess so. And then, yeah, obviously the first one is just this like great, very intimate, cat and mouse thriller. Like that's honestly what it is. Like it's just so, it's so small and independent when you go back and watch it after watching this. Sarah's like this like doe-eyed like little teenager, right. And she's like
a final girl basically.
Yeah, she's working in like this like fucking, what is it, like a diner, and her friends are getting like killed, and
they like kill her mom and shit. Like, yeah,
dude,
turn her whole
crazy.
Fucking life upside down.
Yeah, Schwarzenegger walks into a gun store and asks for a plasma rifle or whatever the fuck, and it's just like, oh, okay, all right, cool.
Dick Miller, hell yeah.
Yeah, I love the idea of him just like looking through the phone book and just killing every Sarah Connor in the phone book. Like, that is insane. But yeah, man, look, I didn't do much of a good job, like really kind of like preambling the podcast. I just jumped straight into Terminator 2. So please follow us on our socials, follow us on the After Party, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. The After Party is fantastic. That's where we thrive. That's where everyone kind of like gives us their opinions on the movies. We read off their comments at the end of the episode. They inspire some of our discussions as well. So please absolutely join us on the After Party on Facebook. Please rate and review us if you like what you're hearing as well. This is an independent podcast. We have no advertising at all. Mm-hmm. We're not funded by Corolco, who's gone under. We're just completely independent. So please rate and review the show. It'll help us get out there in a big bad way. We also have a bonus feed. If you really, really like us, please donate $5 a month. It's super cheap. There's no other tiers. What did I say like that? Tiers or anything like that. It's just $5 a month baseline, and you get an extra. You get a bonus episode. So every time we release one of these episodes, a bonus episode goes up as well. And after this, we'll be covering Batman: The Mask of the Phantasm, 1992, 1993,
93, something like that.
Something like that. So Colin made me watch a cartoon at midnight last night, which is nice. And that's all I'll say about that at this time. So if you want to hear us talk about that, please go to www.patreon.com/midnight double feature. That would be fantastic. Colin, we've kind of like, I don't know, like I've kind of like bungled the intro here, so we've kind of like both given our thoughts on this movie. Do you have
Mhm.
anything else to say before we dive right in?
Yeah, I mean, just a few things. Like, I think that, to kind of recap, obviously, we're both big fans of this movie. I don't know a lot of people that don't like this movie. But I also think that, it's important to not only talk about the action, but then talk about like I love the whole like Minority Report part of it, of like this future crime, that you're being punished for that you haven't even committed yet.
Predestined, yeah.
Right. I love that. And I love Miles Dyson as a character because he just like he has such a sympathetic, like, oh my God, man, I just totally feel for this guy. And I think one thing we haven't highlighted is fucking Brad Fidel.
Oh my God.
Bing.
Yeah, dude. My brother, every time like we talk about this movie, we just do the score in the background. It's like bong, bong. But it's like that droning like noise.
Yeah. Same guy who did the music for Fright Night too. One of my favorite soundtracks.
Yeah, no one cares. Move on.
Yeah, fuck you. It's an amazing movie. You picked The Island. No, I'm never gonna let that go.
In 2019. Leave me alone.
I haven't forgotten about it since.
Oh, dude, you know what's so funny? Sorry, just really quick aside. So I was at a friend's place the other night. I've known this guy for like 20 years, right? And when he turned 18, I went to his 18th birthday party and I gave him like a stack of Blu-rays for his 18th birthday. Like, obviously, you just start earning a paycheck and you just like start buying shit.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, we were talking about this memory the other day, and one of the Blu-rays was The Island, and he still has not seen it.
Oh, good for him. You should have taken that from him.
We just love it's like they're just like gathering dust. Dude, you want to know one of the other Blu-rays? Fucking Pearl Harbor. Jesus Christ, man. What was I on? What was I? You know what? I was in my Michael Bay bag. Yeah, I was just in the Michael Bay like zone.
Oh,
and
man.
I was just like,
ladies and gentlemen,
take this trash.
This is what I have to put up with. Oh my God.
So
I wouldn't have even told anybody I own those movies. I would have never admitted that on a recorded line.
That's so crazy.
But no, I just I'm excited to talk about it. I'm excited to talk about fucking Linda Hamilton in like her biggest role ever. Like the first one obviously was a big hit and everybody liked it, but I also don't really think that people saw this kind of like movie coming because the first one is so different. It's an action thriller, slasher movie, and then all of a sudden you get this like hard action sci-fi like steel blue kind of sterile movie.
Sterile. Sterile is the word that I would use. Absolutely.
Dude,
clinical.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cold blue, like I know I said this last episode too, but also the blues are very Michael Mann to me when the blues pop out, especially mainly when they're in Cyberdyne. Like it's so ridiculous.
No, that absolutely fits because I mean obviously it takes place in LA as well, right? So like the comparison with Mann is 100% on point, but there's something about Mann's like blue in LA that's different to this. Like this, take away the Terminators, it still feels very machine-like, whereas like Mann's like heat feels
much softer.
It feels like neon blue, like softer or like brighter or like a little more approachable. Whereas this is like cold blue steel.
Right. Yeah. This is very like I said, very very sterile. Very good. You just feel like you would touch it and it would be freezing. But no, yeah, I'm excited to jump into this and talk about fucking Schwarzenegger and introducing Edward Furlong. That's crazy to think about. But yeah, kick us off.
Yeah, so we just kick off with this pretty much like cold open. I hate. I'm not going to talk about this movie in this much detail, but the first frame where it's like and it's just the cars like driving by, and it's like all the, like the pre Judgment Day fire shit. Like it's so good, man. Like this opening scene, like this is almost in every movie, or at least these first three movies, where we kind of like get this like sort of flash forward post Judgment Day. And it's like Sarah Connor, like with her voiceover telling us about what happened. Man, like the practical effects here. Stan Winston just went ape shit with this shit, man. Like he's just like He's just like, you know what, James? Let me go out and design your things that we can only dream of. I know this is a lot of like miniature work, but man, it looks absolutely beautiful. Like them, like the resistance on the back of the technicals firing up at the fucking hunter killer. Just
Yes.
it's so
The
gorgeous.
the the warthog, like the guy in the back with the machine gun in the
Yeah,
truck, like oh
yeah.
man.
This like the T-800s and their exoskeletons just gave like us like nightmares. Like they're so terrifying, man.
Mhm.
But not only that, like the sound design of the plasma rifles, that really like bass heavy, like like it's it's just this opening scene just really hits you so hard. Like it's just like holy shit, this is an assault on the senses, and we're like 2 minutes in.
Yeah, I think it's definitely one of the most famous scenes of like the Terminator franchise because it's the first time you ever saw that world. I mean, we're only two movies in. It's not like, it's not like we're a whole trilogy in and we're just now seeing, whatever. But I think actually seeing it from like the ground and seeing who John will become, it definitely makes it definitely makes it feel a lot more like tangible. Like, oh no, shit. Okay, so that does happen. Like it's going to happen. It
Yeah.
like it has to in order for John to exist, it has to happen. like there's
If
a
I
huge
remember
loophole
correctly,
there.
there was a flash forward in the first one too, right? Like we do see
Oh yeah,
post
yeah, yeah.
Judgment
Yeah.
Day. I'm
They
pretty
show
sure.
like that lone Terminator with the
Mm,
eyes like shooting everybody, but I feel like that was a lot more compared to this where you see like an all-out war, like I think the first one was a little bit more like well, not as complex, and this is just like holy shit, like you said, the miniature effects and seeing like everybody, like how big of a deal John is and like the battle scars and stuff, and it's like oh my god.
that so whenever people say future John, that's the guy that I picture. I don't
Sure.
picture Christian Bale or whatever. This is the guy. This
Hmm.
is John Connor. This is Resistance John Connor to me, because this guy, dude, like he's so stoic the way he stands up there with the binoculars and he's looking around, surveying the battlefield. I'm just like, that's
Yes.
John Connor, baby. Let's go.
Ev-
Let's
ev-
bring him back. What's he doing? What's this actor doing?
Dude, every time somebody says Christian Bale and Terminator, all I can think of, I'm gonna kick your fucking ass. That's like all I can think of, man. It's amazing.
So it's just so interesting to survey or to watch this movie um in context with James Cameron's sort of like career. So obviously this comes out after Terminator, but this is also after Aliens and The Abyss.
Yeah.
Like, like Aliens especially is just such a there's a lot of similarities, especially between this scene and Aliens. Like, like just like the miniature stuff, like just absolute fucking chaos and bedlam happening. It's you can definitely see like the skills that James Cameron picked up from his previous films and applied it to this movie. I was telling you about like how this movie came about, and it's just so interesting. But what I'm going to caveat is there are so many other podcasts that have covered this movie in great detail. I like that's not what we're here for. Like we're not here for background, behind the scenes kind of like trivia shit because I just don't have that kind of knowledge. And other podcasts will be covering that stuff in more detail. Like we're just going to go through it like we always do. But this is something like it's so crazy. Like because my point is like when you approach a movie like this that has been steeped in popular culture since 1991, there's just so much history to it. There's so much media out there that covers it. So I'm just not going to even like bother like going into like, oh, James Cameron intended this. Like, like that's not really kind of like what I'm
Yeah. I
what,
know
what I'm
very,
about.
very basic stuff, but
Yeah, of
nothing like
course.
groundbreaking about it.
Of
I
course.
didn't watch like the making of it or anything like that.
And we'll touch on things here and there. But what I did want to talk about was um him trying to get this sequel going. Because they were talking about it and it's like discussions like stalled, I think around 1989. Um and like there was like a dispute, like so the company that owned the rights to Terminator was a company called Hemdale. And Hemdale, the founder, wanted to alter the ending of the first movie against like Cameron's sort of like wishes. Like it was just like, nah, like let's change the ending, you know. And like they nearly got into like a full on like punch up, like a full on like let's go, like let's throw down,
Holy
bitch.
shit.
Yeah. And so a sequel could not be made without Hemdale's approval, as Cameron had surrendered 50% of his rights to the company to get the Terminator made. Cameron had also sold half of the remaining stake to his ex-wife Galen Hurd, producer and co-writer of the first film, for $1 following their 1989 divorce.
Damn.
By 1990, Hemdale was being sued by Cameron, Schwarzenegger, Hurd, and Stan Winston for unpaid profits from the Terminator. And then, get a load of this, Schwarzenegger approached Korolko because like he worked with Korolko after making Total Recall with them.
Mm-hmm.
And Korolko owner Mario Kassar, he went to go buy like the rights to Terminator 2. Dude, $17 million. It was how much he paid for the rights for Terminator 2 for Terminator. It's so great. Like you don't hear about stories like this anymore. Like just in terms of just like you kind of do, but like this is just like legendary shit now. This is just like, oh man, like, you know, how does this happen?
Yeah, well, and you know, it's like $17 million. It's like holy shit. But then you got to think of like, goddamn, how much money this movie made on like. I'm very curious to see what the home video sales are, because I know everybody I know that's like has a collection of at least like 100 movies has this in their collection, and I'm sure this did fucking crazy good on home video.
Gangbusters, it must have. It's so crazy because like when you think about the Terminator's numbers, right? It was made for $6.4 million. It made $78.4 million.
Yeah,
like
talk about a fucking success
in 80s money, dude. Like that's crazy. But anyway, let's continue. These credits, man. These opening credits are just like we don't talk about credits a lot, but I need to highlight these credits. Like the fucking the choice to have the playground just on fire.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, James Cameron's like, oh, you thought the first one was dark? We're burning playgrounds in this one.
Yeah. The only other thing we're burning up this bad is subtlety. Like,
but of course, man, like the score, like, is this James? This is James Horner, right? No, it's Brad Fiedel, my bad.
Yeah. It just
you said it earlier. Yeah, goddamn it. Yeah. Yeah, Brad Fiedel's score, dude, just in his credits, like dun 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 dun. Like how do you not? How does it not get stuck in your head? You know?
Yes.
But then we're introduced to our Terminator, right? Here he is, sent back from what is it, 2029, 2028?
Yeah, 2029, or yeah, I think so,
something like that. And he arrives in 1995, Los Angeles, naked as the day that he was born. Man, what a beast. Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like, just
yes. And I know this is going to sound crazy, but I forgot how like small he is in this.
Yeah.
And I'm not, he's a very big dude. Like, yeah, I'm not,
he's
like,
leaner.
Yes, he's leaner, and like, but to see him in Terminator 1, you know, and like I watched like Pumping Iron, and I know it's like such a bro kind of thing, but I love the picture.
I love Pumping Iron.
No, yeah, but it's like a picture of him on the stage with his arms like spread out, and the word just says "conquer" above him, and I was like, oh, dude, that's fucking like his. You know, I know he's kind of like a you know, not a controversial figure, but I know like he's, you know, obviously like people are divisive on Schwarzenegger because of the politics and the movies and stuff. But his story, like the book Total Recall, is absolutely great.
Fantastic.
You know? Yeah. And he's definitely ego on him, you know, but he's Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like I understand. Like,
to be honest, like he's kind of
like I get it. Like I definitely do. But anyways, I love like reading his story and stuff about his life and his physique and stuff, because you go and you see him in these earlier things, and he's just fucking massive. You know, he's just ridiculously big. So in this, to see him like, dude, I know like high schoolers that are bigger than that right now. Like, like everybody's fucking drinking creatine. Like, holy shit.
Do you hang out with high schoolers a lot? Or
yeah, sometimes. I mean, it just depends on, you know, if there's any alcohol around.
I think that's the police knocking on your door, dude.
Hey guys, all right, now, guys.
This is like that episode of It's Always Sunny. I think it's in the first season. Underage drinking, an American problem or something.
Underage drinking, a national concern.
That's right. That's right.
That's my favorite episode of Always Sunny. I think it's incredible. It could be like a 90-minute movie. I think it's so good.
You know what I always loved as well, like when he's getting sent back through time and like he's kind of like he's doing the kneeling shit. The way that bubble like carves like a little bit of the truck, dude.
Yes, like because it's coming from basically out of nowhere. It's like forcing itself into the world.
It's like bending like matter. Yeah. It's so good, man. Like it's like it's little details like that you just don't get anymore. Like you didn't need to do that. You know what I mean? Like they didn't need to put that in there, but it's just the fact that it is in there. It's carved into my brain. You know. So T-800 walks into this bar, right, and he pretty much. There's a variation of this in almost every movie. Like you know, obviously in the first one you get Bill Paxton's little punk ass crew. He gets beaten.
Yeah, and Brian Thompson from Cobra, like the guy who basically would have been like a Schwarzenegger stunt double, like the guy with the huge jaw. Yeah.
And the next one is like, as we saw last week, they're in that kind of like what is it? It's like ladies' night or something. They take this one and they make it a little bit more comedic, but this is probably my favorite one, man. Like just the way he approaches this guy. This guy puts the cigar out on his chest, and he's got like no reaction. And
dude, do you remember this guy? It's our boy.
What's he from again? Is that Wangro?
No. He is the restaurant manager in not Road Trip. The one with Paul Walker and Steve Zahn.
Oh, why am I forgetting? It's called.
If I hadn't asked you,
it's called something else.
It's Roadkill for you guys.
Yeah,
or something.
It's Roadkill for us. It's the
Joyride.
Joyride.
Yeah. Dude. Yeah, he is the fucking like restaurant manager when they come in naked, and he's like, all right, I know this is probably a fraternity joke, blah blah blah. And I was like, and I remember watching Joyride. You made me watch it for the podcast. Great movie. I really liked it. But
great movie.
I remember going, holy shit! It's fucking James Hetfield from Metallica that gets thrown into the kitchen, you know, in T2.
I don't know how you remembered that, dude. That is an insane pull.
I remember because I think he had only been in a handful of movies, and it was like Joyride and this. And I was like, man, but what a career though. Like
you could have cast him as Wangro, and I would never have noticed.
Oh hell no.
Dude, but like the moment, you know, there's so many shots of this movie like that are just burned into my brain, and one of them is just him landing on the stove and like just the way he reacts to it. Like, you know what it is? It's the palms up. Like it's that kind of like movement that he does.
For me, it's the guy getting the knife through the shoulder blade that pins him to the pool table. Like,
take it out. Take it out.
Yeah. What I love, I laughed out loud when he puts that knife through the guy's shoulder blade, and he's like, get it out, and it shows this dude behind Schwarzenegger with a pool cue, and he's like acting like he's gonna hit him with it, and I was like, what the fuck, dude? It's like one of those things where you don't even get mad. It's like you just want to gently take the pool cue and be like, listen, did you just see what that guy did? Do you just see that? He put a cigar out on his chest and then cracked a pool cue over his head.
And he's still flaccid.
Yeah, this guy fucking turned on every woman in here and then proceeded to kick every man's ass. It's like he is him. We just need to like back off here.
The guy's got his own pool cue hanging between his legs.
Yeah,
like, I mean, and then we get like. He goes to the, oh, by the way, I mean, I need your boats closed. Boats.
Your boats.
I need your boots closed. God damn it, man.
I need your boats. I can't even do it. That came out Jamaican.
That was in, that was an achievement on Xbox, I think, in GTA 4 or GTA 5.
Really?
Yeah, I can't remember the specifics of it, but I remember saying, I need your boats closed. Bah! I said it again. God damn it. What's wrong with me? I need your boots, clothes, and your motorcycle. Like, I just remember that coming up, and I'm like, that is a great reference. That is a great reference.
Hell yeah.
And then you get like Tucker from Tucker and Dale versus Evil, just like walking out with the shotgun and just like being like,
I can't. Well, I gotta say, like, I appreciate this dude. He's like, I can't let you take his wheel, son. And it's like, that's the one thing. Like, dude, he's a biker. You can't take
this
the
like code of honor.
Yes, you can't take the cowboy's horse, man. You can't do that to him. Like, he's gotta have it.
It's so fantastic. And then we get Robert Patrick's introduction as the T-1000. I mean, there's no other word for it other than iconic. I mean, like, this is just fantastic.
It's infamous.
Yeah, it's so, the choice to have a big behemoth as the T-800 and then a slender, lithe like casting for the T-100, the T-1000 is so fantastic, so genius.
I don't know if it was Cameron or somebody who said that the T-800 is like the tank and the T-1000 is the Porsche. And I'm like, yes. That's how
100%.
Our co-host Danny. That's how I describe us playing like Halo together. I'm like, dude, you are the Porsche and I am the tank. I always go in and just like
I'm the same. Dude. I'm always just like, let's go in guns blazing.
Yes.
I've been called Rambo so many fucking times, dude. I'm not gonna get like but like, yeah, he just straight up kills this cop, and I love it because the movie is still trying to play it a little bit ambiguous as to who's good and who's bad, right? Like, and this is something that's come up so many times. Like Cameron, like, it was in the trailer, like that it was given away, like, like
they ruined it.
Yeah, but that was Cameron's choice. I know it was out. It was out there for a long time that it was the studio who ruined that, but it was actually Cameron. There's a article from Screen Rant in 2003 where Cameron actually made that choice. He says he's revealed as a protector of at the end of Act 1. I always feel you lead with your strongest story element in selling a movie. Like, like he cut that trailer together for the studio. But you know what's so funny? The next like 3 Terminators do the same fucking thing and spoil the story. Terminator. I can't remember Terminator 3's trailer, but Terminator Salvation absolutely does. Like, the whole crux of that story is Sam Worthington's character being like half machine, and you find that out like in a very dramatic reveal at like the hour mark, and it's just like, what the fuck? Like, that was given away in the trailer, dude.
Oh.
And then Terminator Genesis reveals almost at the end of the movie that John Connor is a Terminator. And it's like, what?
What the fuck? That is so stupid.
That was in the trailer. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure Dark Fate does almost the same thing too. I can't remember what it was because I've only seen that movie once. But like, yeah, it's just such a weird like franchise thing. But anyway, man, like, I love the music in the previous scene as well, with Schwarzenegger being all this like dark, like, moody like tones, and it's like, damn, like, you don't really know how to feel about this guy. You don't really know whether he's the protagonist or the antagonist. And the same thing goes here. The same thing goes here in the T-1000's introduction, where it's like, holy shit, like, I don't know how to feel about him. Like, he's a cop, like, he's dressed as a cop, like, is he trying to camouflage as a police officer, so he's more trustworthy, or is he, like, a genuinely like he's trying to help John?
Right, dude. The one thing that I never caught until this viewing today, I watched. I've seen this 1,000 times, so I just watched like bits and pieces here and there, and the part that I'd always forgotten about is when Robert Patrick first goes to the foster parents, and he's like, yeah, I need to speak to John, blah blah blah, and if you pay attention to the background, the dog is like barking and whining all the way in the backyard, and there's this really great shot where like Robert Patrick is left, the foster parents are like kind of center right, and then the dog is all the way in the back right of the shot, and it's like, oh dude, that is so fucking good. And I forgot how like sleek that is, and it's such a great little detail that I forgot all about with the fucking dog.
It's fantastic. But yeah, like this, like, we
It's fantastic.
We see that
it's fantastic.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. The T-1000 locates the foster parents, and what do you? This is goddamn, what's her name in Aliens? What's the character's name in Aliens?
Oh, I think this is Jeanette Goldstein.
Jeanette Goldstein, yeah, but I can't remember what the character. Vasquez, yes. She's looking a little less Latino in this one, but you know.
Yeah, oh god, the things I would in Aliens, I'm always like short hair and big tits, and it's like can probably beat the shit out of me. Yeah, sign me up.
She's a total different person in this one, dude. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's
so crazy.
Very different in this movie.
Yeah. So John's got some disdain for his foster parents, obviously, right? Like naturally, and then Mullet Mate, right? Like he's kind of like he rides off with Mullet Mate on the bike, and he's not my mother, Todd. Like, you know, that's always just stuck in my head. Yeah. Rebellion, right? 1991, we're rebellious to our parents.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and even if they are blood,
listening to Guns N' Roses and hanging out with mullets and making bad decisions.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, and I like the fact that it's when you see him first look up John's address, you see like the list of charges, and you realize like, okay, this kid's having a lot of problems, and it's like showing and not telling, but somehow still just kind of like telling at the same time. I'm like, that's cool. I like the way they do that.
You know, I was thinking if this maybe was released maybe a year later, the whole thing about having the T-1000 as an ambiguous, like, you know, whether he's good or bad wouldn't work because he's a police officer and it's 1991 in LA.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
You know, things are about to happen in 1991 LA.
Yeah, it's going to actually,
you know,
didn't they? Wasn't the Rodney King thing filmed because of Terminator 2? Or they were filmed close by.
Yeah,
I think it was
close by or like across the road or something like that. I think
across the street, like the Rodney King beating happened, and then that's I can't remember exactly the story,
something like that.
But yeah,
this is the podcast, ladies and gentlemen. This is just us figuring things out, and we don't Google things, and we don't confirm. We just talk to each other.
It's just more fun to find them out as you go along. I've tried, you know, being clever and writing notes and stuff, and I'm not doing that anymore. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's fun to sometimes just go in and like, you know, not study about a movie for 5 hours and just kind of remember things. It's like a natural conversation too, you know.
Definitely.
When you go in with just information, it's like, I don't know, it just feels like, why don't I just watch a YouTube video? This is not like fun. Like I'm just listening to facts, you know.
That's it. Yeah. Look, I don't think people listen to us for fact finding. You know?
Right. Maybe fact finding, but
oh yeah. Man,
that was a low blow.
Like this overhang, it's just like sitting on the desk.
Oh, my
right
fupa,
now.
Yeah.
What?
My bit your fupa, like your big gut, like what do they call that? Forward something. It's like the fat above your dick but below your belly button, like your fupa.
Jesus Christ! Never heard of that before. That is a first for me, but wow. All right. Well, okay. I got a question for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're at Pescadero. Which of these orderlies are the worst, right? So I'm going to give you a few orderlies. You tell me which one's the worst. So you got black guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he's bad. He's pretty bad. But you've got the guy when Sarah's escaping, he's kind of like behind the wall and he's like, ah! Like, you know, he makes a noise audibly before he jumps, and it's like, come on, man, like you just gave away your position. Or you have face liquor.
It's definitely face liquor.
It's definitely face liquor, right?
Yeah.
It has to be face liquor.
Right. If it's not even really a contest. Like, it's definitely face. I think it's not a contest because he gets fucking wrecked. Like when she pops out with that broom handle, it's like, yeah, he eats that shit. It is really satisfying.
There's like a white frame that he puts in there. Like he edits like a white frame when he hits him.
Oh, that's cool.
When she hits him, so it's just like for like literally a millisecond,
like a flashbang.
Yeah, it's awesome. But we're introduced to Sarah Connor. Well, we're reintroduced to Sarah Connor. Actually, no, we're introduced to a new version of Sarah Connor, I'll say. Man, oh man, what a fucking introduction. Like what, like you hear her first, like they're doing the pull-ups.
Mm-hmm.
This is something that'll never like leave me, man. Like just the sound and like you can basically smell this room. Like, she's got this determination.
And the bed is like all rolled up and shit. Like,
yeah.
Well, and she's the type of like prisoner that has like Mike Tyson in a tutu, and she's like, yeah, bitch, and like slaps his ass as he walks by.
Dude, she's going to slap Mike Tyson and Jake Paul in this fucking stuff that she's in. But anyway, I love the way that Cameron pushes in and she turns around. It's like this dramatic reveal. It's fantastic. She's a completely different person. Mm-hmm. This is not the same waitress we met in the diner, like back in T1. Mm-hmm. And like, look at these fucks, man. Like, they're like these orderly. Like, Silberman's like pretty much like conducting a tour. Like, they're fucking zoo animals.
Yeah.
Like, come on,
he
man.
is one of my favorite characters in the Terminator franchise, even though he's basically just in. Is he in 1? No, he's
in 1, 2, and 3.
That's right, because he's the one who goes to the police department to talk to Sarah. That's right. Mm-hmm. I love the fact that the first one happened and he's like, yeah, whatever. It was a lone gunman just went in there and shot all these cops, and then this one happens and he sees the same guy and he's like, oh my god, and like that thing drops.
And
out
the
of his
third
mouth.
one, he just fucking bolts. He just bolts. It's great.
He's like gotten over it, and he's like, I had to find closure, therapy. And then oh my god, dude, like part of you almost feels bad if he wasn't such a fucking asshole, but dude, what a tragic fucking character.
But man, like the first time Sarah speaks, right? Morning, Dr. Silberman. How's the knee? And it's like, holy shit, you have a dick. Like you have so much testosterone coursing through your veins right now. She absolutely is. So one thing that Colin and I figured out before this movie, or what we kind of talked about, was that obviously there's the theatrical cut and there's the director's or extended cut. I own the 4K director's cut, and that's the version that I grew up with. So we'll be referencing that, but I'll also be referencing the theatrical version too, because that's the one that's kind of playing in the background for me right now. And it's so funny because like when Silverman turns to these orderlies and he's like, look, I don't like seeing the patients like that. Make sure they're taking their Thorazine. In the director's cut, the next thing that happens is these two orderlies walk in and kind of subdue her and force her to take the meds. But that doesn't happen in the theatrical cut. It cuts immediately to the T-1000 arriving at the foster parents' house. And I'm like, damn, like, I kind of like, I don't love that because it adds so much to how much Sarah hates this orderly, face licker, I'm going to call him. Like,
right. It gets very like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest in like, a kind of a bad way. And you really see the dire streets that she's in, but I guess I don't mind it being cut because I feel like they told all of that so fucking well, like, like visually and stuff. Like I'm fine with it in, but I see why they cut it out for sure.
Yeah. Look, I'm definitely all for like a lean version of any movie. Like, if you can like tell me everything that you can or that you're trying to convey in the most sufficient way, then that's fantastic. But for a movie like this, man, where I just want excess.
Yes.
I just want, give it all to me.
I'll take a Snyder 5-hour cut of this,
Yeah,
like, absolutely.
Of course. So T-1000 rolls up to the foster parents' house. He's looking for John, right? And his mum gives him the photo. And he says, I need to ask him a few questions. Well, hold up. There's a guy that came out around earlier with a little big bucket guy. No, you don't need to worry about him. It's. Can we talk about how good Robert Patrick is?
Oh yeah. I love Robert Patrick. I think he does those icy blue eyes, man. He killed, and to do something like Copland, I think just a few years later, he's killed, and then Sopranos and Peacemaker and X-Files, and like the guy just really had a pretty like diverse career when it came to a lot of TV, a lot of movies, a lot of cool shit, and not a lot of actors that like, I don't know. I think he is one of the few actors that I've ever thought, yes, for Freddy Krueger. I think he would be a great Freddy Krueger. He plays a villain really well. He's got that lanky, icy, blue-eyed kind of look. Fucking Davey Scatino from The Sopranos, man.
He was just in Robert Patrick was just in season 2 of Reacher. He was the villain in Reacher. And it was so funny because Reach is like this big hulking like Terminator. One of his henchmen says, "Oh, he's like the Terminator," and Robert Patrick goes, "Don't call him that."
That's great.
It's
that's
just like
great.
little like like a little touch. I love that shit.
All right, side note. Do you think the guy from Reacher is natty, or do you think he's using Alan Richardson?
I think it's natural. He just seems too. He seems too legit. Because
look at the size of that head in Blue Mountain State, and you tell me a difference. Like his head is fucking huge now.
He is insane. Like you see him without a shirt, like in Reacher. It's like,
I saw him and
you need IMAX cameras to like fully capture him.
I saw something where somebody was throwing out ideas for another Batman, and they threw him out for one, and I was like, honestly. Yep. Yeah, I mean, I haven't really seen him act, but like physically, he is like that Frank Miller Dark Knight Returns, like big ass Batman. But sorry if y'all don't know who the hell we're talking about. He's just, the epic of peak male performance. So
I think so too. Actually,
I want to have sex with him. No.
I do too, but I feel like he'd want to.
He's not the power bottom. Although the bottom usually generates most of the power.
Don't quote Sonny to me, you little bitch. I told you I've been on an absolute it's always sunny like tear, like, and yeah, man, like it's so good. But anyway, man, let's continue. So I've always wanted to learn how to do this, and maybe I could have gone down a life of crime, but stealing money off the ATM like this. John tells mullet friend, his name is Tim apparently, so I'm just going to call him Tim as well. John tells Tim that he learned it from his mother, and John in this moment has a little bit of like, you can tell just some disgust for his mum, like like there's a bit of like in the way that he like embarrassment, like in the way that he tells his story to Tim. He's just so like, oh god, like she got sent up to Pescadero. She's a freak, She blew up a computer factory. Like she got shot. That's it, and it's just something that he has to live. Yeah, she's a complete psycho. That's what he says. But yeah, one of my favorite moments of sound design is when they're rolling down the alleys, and in the foreground, you just fucking hear the like on the background of the dirt bike. Oh, it's so good, dude. Like it's so fantastic. And then we get this scene, which might be one of my favorite scenes in this entire movie. I'm not even kidding. Like, it's not an action scene, but it's Sarah watching herself a few months ago or however long, and she's talking about Judgment Day. She's talking about how it's inevitable, how they are coming, they're going to kill you, this is going to happen.
I think that she absolutely like knocks it out of the park, because there's this like range of emotion from, anger to like kind of like pity.
There's some quietness there. Yeah.
Yes, and very like is sad for everyone else. Like, don't you understand? Like, I'm trying to help you. Like, nothing is worse than being right and trying to help somebody and people won't believe you. And it's about a huge chunk of it. I love like seeing her like frustration at that, and then her just kind of like giving up and going to the anger well, because it's just easier. And I think Linda Hamilton does just such an incredible job portraying like I think this is one of my favorite like continuations of a character, because there was actual consequences to Terminator 1. It was like there was actual fallout from that, and she was not okay. It wasn't just and Sarah went and had a baby and then that was the end of it. No, it's like she realized, okay, well, I've got to kick this shit in gear, and took it to the next level, and ended up basically ruining their lives over it. And it's like, oh god.
Well, and it's self-fulfilling, right? I mean, like, it wouldn't have happened if Kyle Reese hadn't been sent back,
right? Which I don't
by John.
I don't.
It's like a whole thing.
I don't love that.
I mean, like that's the science fiction of it all,
right? I love Terminator, but I kind of wish John's dad was just some guy, and nobody knew. Maybe he gets killed in the first one, something, because I just hate the whole thing of Yeah, because I got to shout out Hey Do You Remember for their Terminator 2 episode, because Chris Schrader pointed out like that paradox of like, if they go back and stop the war from happening, John is not going to be born because Kyle Reese never gets sent back. And I'm like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, sure.
And part of it is like your brains just have to be like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, whatever, man. Like,
there's always going to be, with time travel, there's always going to be something
right.
like
and
that.
I think in the context they were bringing it up was, oh, it would be an incredible piece of story to Linda Hamilton be, her character be like, I don't know why I didn't just say Sarah. Sarah to have to be like, well, if I do stop this, I'm going to be saving the world, but I'm going to lose my son. And it's like, oh man, I think that'd be a pretty incredible thing to add into the story, but I don't know if it would fit this film as it is right now. It'd have to be heavily like tweaked and stuff.
I didn't think about that. That's interesting. That is a good alternative. Yeah.
Right. I've always loved they've pointed that out. Shout out, miss those guys.
Oh, I do miss them as well, man. I do miss them as well. Rogues Gallery is great. Check out Rogues Gallery if you haven't already.
That's right. Hell yeah. Good shout out.
On August 27, 1997, it's going to feel pretty fucking real to you, too. Anybody not wearing 2 million sunblock is going to have a real bad day. Get it? Dude, she is.
And the freeze frame on the, like her face is like,
it's so good.
Man, that looks bad at a parole hearing. Like,
stuck in my head. Like, talk about like moments in movies that are stuck in my head. Just there's so many. Like, it's crazy too.
I'm sorry. I just thought about like if the tape kept going and she's like, I am definitely going to find a way out of here if you give me a chance. And they're like, come on, Sarah. Like, I'm going to be thinking about this. I'm going to be thinking about this in the middle of my parole hearing. And they're like, Sarah, I just farted. Like, oh, what's going on? Like,
don't look behind the Rita Hayworth poster.
Yeah. Sarah Connor swam through 500 pounds of shit. I came out clean on the other side.
500 pounds?
Yeah, what is it? 500 miles
yards.
of shit.
Dude, you think Andy Dufresne went through 500 miles of shit?
Said Miles was the first one that it's just, now he's coming around the bend now, and it's just him swimming.
That's not even the metric system, dude. And I pulled it out of my ass. But you know what, man? Like, this is what I was saying. The Oscars just kind of happened, so it's all kind of like fresh in my mind right now. But like, talk about an Oscar-worthy performance. Like, like the Oscars love to give it to someone who, is either in a really quiet sort of like inward performance or really loud, right? Like this year they gave it to Robert Downey Jr., who has like big outbursts, but also really quiet moments too. And man, oh man, does she do that perfectly in this scene. Like in just this scene, she exhibits like the quietness of like this pity, as you said. And she feels sorry for everyone who doesn't believe her. But then like when we cut back to her and she's seen that footage and she doesn't feel, we know that she doesn't feel any different. We know that she like she's now trying to concoct this story that she's feeling better. And that's not the case. She says so quietly and in a line of dialogue that's just always stuck in my head is, I have shown improvement, haven't I? And and then when Silverman denies that and she's like, please, you have to let me see my son. And it's just like, oh no, here we go.
Yeah.
She does it so well. And when Silverman says, I don't see any other option but to have you here for another 6 months, the beat that she takes before she leaps over that desk is insane. Like, it's so good.
I love it. Well, and I love the fact that she's like, I have shown improvement, haven't I? It's like, lady, it has been 3 weeks since you put a ballpoint pen through this guy's knee. What the fuck are you talking about?
And you made fun of it this morning.
Yeah. We had to actually have 2 guards come in and pin you down and make you take your medicine. And you're like, I'd like a little recess, please. And it's like, no, we're not fucking doing that.
Talk about, though, a fantastic, like, following. Like, this is something James Cameron does really well. He did this in Aliens a lot. Is someone's talking about something in a scene, and then the next scene is directly related to the dialogue. So in this one, Sarah's talking about, well, I think there would have been some evidence of like blah blah. and then immediately
Yes.
cut to Cyberdyne. Like, you know, it's so good. And let's talk about Cyberdyne. Let's talk about the introduction of Miles Dyson, right? Like, let's talk about uh, him turning the key together with this security guard, and I guess you'd need to maintain direct eye contact as well, because this security guard is looking at Miles, and you know he's asking him about his family, and he's like, "Damn it, they're not separated yet. God damn it,
Heart, I'm just dying in your arms tonight."
It's that Lego man meme of him just like staring at his eyes.
Hello, is it me you're looking for?
My name's Miles Dyson.
I can see it in your eyes. You're all I ever wanted. Yeah, it reminds me of Scary Movie 4.
Erotic.
You remember Scary Movie 4 when they're in the tent and they're making fun of Brokeback?
That's the last. The third was the last one I saw. I haven't seen the fourth one.
Dude, four has some decent moments. Like they're in like it's Anthony Anderson and Kevin Hart just in the tent, and like they're sleeping next to each other in the tent, and Kevin Hart reaches over like, down towards his crotch, and he's like, "Relax, man. I'm just trying to grab some nuts." And he picks up like a bag of nuts.
Oh God. Jesus Christ.
And then Anthony Anderson reaches over and he's like, whoa, what are you doing? And he's like, man, I'm just trying to grab some penis. It's a bag of peanuts.
God. That joke gave me crohned.
It's
Jesus.
so good. Oh man. Oh. But yeah, we see the arm, like the exoskeleton arm, like in the CPU. Things that get because it's not just the self-fulfilling prophecy of John Connor. It's also the self-fulfilling prophecy of Skynet becoming what it is as well.
Right. Yeah. It's that once you kind of start piecing it together, and it's like, oh, okay, so it's just this circle of like, because they go back, it's just this never-ending kind of infinite regress thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep, definitely. And now we're at the Galleria, right? The Galleria. He's pointing at the kids. It's like, dude, like, come on, relax. And this is our first giant scale moment of this movie. And this is when Cameron is now able to fully flex his action chops, right? This is like, oh, hold on, I picked up some action shit on Aliens, you know, because Terminator 1 has some great action moments too, for sure. Like there's that like car chase in the parking lot, like even at the end too, at the in the factory,
the big rig and stuff.
Yeah, of course, man. Like Terminator 1 has some fantastic action moments, but nothing like this. Like this is something else, man. Like we got the T-800 arriving at the Galleria. We get the T-1000 arriving as well. The T-800 walking around with the Guns N' Roses, dude. Like, obviously a reference, right?
Yeah.
And they made this poor fucking maintenance man, dude, just caught in the fucking shit. Like, come on. Like, you couldn't have given this
that guy kills me, because he's like up against the wall, and as soon as they start shooting, he's like tries to like, I don't know, be Neo from the Matrix, and he just walks directly into the hallway, and I'm like, what is this guy? Has no survival instincts. Like, hit the ground and fucking crawl. And he's just like, I'll run at the bullets and they'll just move around me.
We also skipped over Mullet, mate, just completely being an absolute G. A fucking wingman of wingman immediately without reflex. No, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't know.
Right.
No, I haven't seen him.
Yeah.
Like, come on. What an absolute gangster, dude.
My stupid ass at 10 or 12 would have been like, yeah, he's right over there. Yeah, he's my buddy.
Yeah.
You want to meet him?
Oh, that's a shit smell that you smell. That's not in my pants at all. You know? Like,
here's his keys to his dirt bike in case he tries to escape.
Here's his social security number.
Yeah, we just robbed an ATM, and he just like starts ratting on them.
But yeah, man, like, can you imagine in 1991 if you had not seen a trailer, what an absolute moment that this would have been? Like the slow motion of
get down.
Yeah, the T-800 walking in, and then can you imagine the feeling that you would have felt of when you heard "get down" and he just fires that shotgun into the T-1000. Like that would
it's so fucking good, and I love the, you know, obviously like seeing Arnold as being like the good guy is, but who, I don't know how many people saw the trailer. I'd be kind of curious to see people like, did you see the movie and have not seen the trailer? Cause I definitely saw this one first when I was a kid. I didn't catch the first Terminator until I was like 12 or 13. And
I think the first one's a bit more mature, actually. Like now that you put it that way, because the first one's got like sex scenes and it's a bit more patient.
Yeah, it's got like nudity and stuff, and I think that the more, obviously him, get down and shooting him and stuff is absolutely, incredible. But then the reveal of the big silver like fuck hole in the middle of like the T-1000s, like, whoa, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
Right. And you eventually are like, okay, so that guy's not human. Like, that's like, man, talk about a fucking reveal. Like, I understand like they had their reasons for doing it, but I do understand, because it's kind of like, well, if the story is just Arnold's another bad Terminator and this cop's the good one, well, now it's just the same movie as the first one, but now John's a child, and what are we going to do? We're going to come back for John when he's in his 20s. We're going to come after John's kids, or we're going to come after Sarah's parents, like, what are we going to do? And the fact that it like inverts it, but also like, I feel like it is an awesome story. And I think there's a lot of that, like, no fate but what you make kind of stuff. But I think that's one of the reasons why the action is kicked up so high, because it's like, this is similar to the first movie in a lot of ways, but this is going to be, how do we, even though we're telling a somewhat similar story, how do we make it different from the first one? And I feel like the way that this movie is edited compared to the first one is very different to me. I feel like there's a lot snappier, quicker kind of cuts in this. That get down, and then he shoots. It's like, oh man, it's like a shotgun, literally, like, ironically, like a shotgun blast. It just blows like right when he drops that line, and you're like, oh my god, dude! I love that quick.
It's genius.
You feel like John having to be like, fuck, like just get down real quick.
Not only that, but there's so much happening inside this like one little sort of like hallway moment. Like obviously the revelation of like the liquid Terminator. By the way, which I read that the T-1000, the liquid Terminator, was an original idea that Cameron had from the first one. So he kind of like brought it back, and he's like, I'm going to use it in here.
Oh, cool.
And also Robert Patrick having to learn not to blink when firing those rounds. Like, that was just something that was like, he said that was something that was way too hard. Like, I had so much trouble with that.
And I mean, not to mention how fast he was when this movie came. They're like, dude, I guess he trained just to run, even though he runs for, a decent section of this movie at the beginning. And that's basically it. But he was like, dude, I was fast as shit.
Yeah.
He's like, when we were filming this, I was fucking screaming in a pair of Nikes,
Yeah. So he throws the Terminator out the window, and then he gives chase, right? So John takes off on his dirt bike, and then we're fully into this pursuit. The little moment of like the T-1000 like clocking the mannequin, he's just like, oh yeah, okay.
Silver Surfer, we meet again.
Yeah. Did you ever watch Last Action Hero?
Oh hell yeah!
Do you remember when Robert Patrick just walks out of the police station?
Yeah, and him popping up in Wayne's World.
Yeah,
and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good. But anyway, this truck chase, man, like this chase through the LA River. What hasn't been said about this scene already? I mean, it is gorgeous. The practical effects, like the cars crashing everywhere, like, dude, like the truck coming off the top rope, like, the fucking just like, God.
Hitting the people's elbow on John Connor.
Yeah, doing the tombstone and shit, man. The DDT, like, come on.
Mm-hmm.
I know Patrick somewhere is just like, oh yes, talk dirty to me.
Yeah. Well, and there's this thing of like, Terminator 1 climaxed on basically a big rig like chasing across the bridge. I think that's the one where no wait, that's this one where he goes, get out.
Yeah.
And the guy just jumps out of the helicopter. And there's something like that to that extent in the first movie. I can't remember, but I one of the things I love is that the end of Terminator 1 climaxes with this big rig scene, and then this movie, its first action scene is basically like not as big and not as long, but still is like, oh, we're gonna start this one on what we ended the second one on. It's a different game now, and I'm like, oh man, that's
absolutely
fucking cool.
I love the way that he makes this feel like it's like a lion just stalking its prey and like just chasing this gazelle, man. Like if you listen to the sound design, there is a shot of like him of the truck, and like it goes from like the tires all the way up to the windshield, and it just sounds like this like wild beast. like you know, I feel like they layered some audio in there of some animals just being like, and it's like holy shit, you know. Come on, man, the T-800 just cocking that shotgun, like come on, man.
Oh man, I can't remember what Schwarzenegger said. I think he said, he was like, yeah, that was hard. He's like, that was really hard to like sling that around and do it right. But it is such a perfect like amalgamation of what the Terminator is. Of like, well, yeah, I can drive and shoot at the same time. You know, like this is the simplest way to do this. You know, like, oh man, it's badass.
Yeah, absolutely. Like there's like little touches in here, man, that have just been parodied to death. I can't remember where I watched it, but you know, like Robert Patrick going under that sort of like overpass and just it's smashing the entire canopy off the truck, and him kind of like doing the like you know, like it's smashing the windows off. Like it's so good, dude. It's so good. But yeah, like this is. I also really love that he can't balance the truck. It looks like that he's like really trying to balance the truck, but the crane at the back is like swinging around, so he can't actually balance the thing. The T-800 going off the edge of that thing and just landing, man. Like it's a practical stunt, and it looks absolutely gorgeous. You know, like the sparks that come off the back of the motorcycle is just, it's fantastic. Like I don't know what else can I say. Like, you know, like what I mean. I'm actually getting frustrated because there's nothing else that I can say that probably hasn't been said already. Like, you know, it's just so
well that even if you do come up with, it's basically like, man, this is cool.
Yeah, right,
you know,
exactly.
Like,
dude, like I don't like the newspapers and the trolleys and like the shit that's been left in the LA River. Just like just the tactile, like it doesn't feel clean, and I love that. I love that about this movie.
One of the things that I did notice this watch around is like the items, you know, it's like a shopping cart and then a car and then like a wooden crate that maybe like had fruit in it or something like that. And it's like like at first I feel like you see John and he passes, you know, shopping cart, and then he goes by it, and then it takes a minute for the big rig to hit it. And as that chase goes on, it'll show the item next to John, and then he'll fly by it, and then it starts hitting him faster. I felt like as the chase went on, and I was like, that's cool. Like it's slowly chomping like closer to John.
And it's showing like geography, right? Like, I mean, think about how movies are shot, right? Like they're shot in kind of like pieces. Like the fact that like that continuity is there between shots is so incredible. Like they shot it kind of like on the go, or someone really paid attention to, okay, like John is passing this trolley, that means this trolley now needs to hit that truck. Like, you know what I mean? Like someone thought about that. It's so crazy.
Well, and the fact that I think this is edited by like 4 different people, which is kind of crazy. I've never seen that many. Conrad Buff the Fourth, Richard A. Harris, Mark Goldblatt. It's like, holy shit! I've never seen that many people editing on a movie.
Yeah, it's fantastic, man. The truck blows up. I love the Terminator just stopping and cocking the shotgun, pointing it at the explosion to see what comes out. And yeah, and then like, you know, talk about groundbreaking effects for its time, right? This is Industrial Light and Magic, just, you know, showing like this is what they can do. This is 1991, so when the T-1000 walks out of the fireball, like, you know, you see him in kind of like his like natural form. And then it wouldn't be until 1993 when Industrial Light and Magic changed the game again with Jurassic Park, of course. Yeah, man, it's you know what? Yes, it looks dated. You know what I mean? Like, yes, it looks dated, but it still looks good. You know, like it doesn't ruin it for you.
Wait, what looks dated?
The fucking liquid effects.
Oh yeah. Yes, compared to a lot of shit that came out in 91 though,
Yeah.
like I would say this still looks better than 90%
Oh,
of
absolutely.
special effects from 1991. But yeah, compared to like today, yeah, you can, those seams are a little bit more like visible because we're so spoiled today, but it's nothing that like takes me out of it. Like, you know, like I'll be honest, the claymation in the first Terminator took me out more than the CGI and stuff in this.
Let me, you know, I was just curious. I was like, oh man, 1991 was such a good year for movies because I remembered that Silence of the Lambs was also 1991. Let me read you a couple movies from 1991, dude. Boys in the Hood, Point Break, Freddy's Dead, Cape Fear, The Last Boy Scout,
Ooh.
The Rocketeer, Billy Bathgate, there was something else big that I just can't remember. Toy Soldiers, Star Trek 4,
I was going to say
Trek
Reservoir
6.
Dogs. That's 92.
92, yeah. Just but you know, even just the fact that you had Terminator 2 and Silence of the Lambs in 1 year, like that's insane. Like, talk about the greatest of all time. All right. I love John just being like, all right, time out, stop the bike. And this is when we kind of like get our information dump, if you will, right? Cyberdyne Systems Model 101, like, you know. I love that, like, I love that John kind of like already is catching on because he's sort of realizing that his mum is right. You know, he's realizing that, oh shit, you know, you're like machine underneath, aren't you? Like that's what you are. It's like it's exposition, but given in such a clever way because one of the characters.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry to interrupt you. I was going to say, I love the way that this movie actually does exposition. Like when we're first walking through with Silverman and he's talking, he's, you know, giving like it's total exposition. But I love the fact that he's kind of just recapping from the first. This is one of those rare movies where I feel like, does it help to see the first one? Obviously, but like you don't have to see the first Terminator to get the second one because it's such a radical. Does it help? I would say yeah. I would definitely recommend seeing it first. But if you haven't, Terminator 2, like I got this as a kid just fine. Like I totally understood like what the hell was going on, you know. And I think they do such a great job with using the exposition in this to kind of catch us up to speed. And I do wish that they left in the Kyle Reese scenes or the scene of him. And, you know, I just think I love seeing Michael Biehn pop up and stuff. And the fact that, you know, that he did Kyle Reese that one time and never came back again, never did another Terminator movie is like, fuck, man.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a bit of a bummer because he kind of slinks into that role so well.
Yes.
So John wants to go to his house to pick up a few things. Negative. The T-1000 will definitely try and reacquire you there. And he's like, how do you know? I would.
Yes. Yeah. Such a good line.
They go to the phone booth and I you know, there's something really kind of like really endearing and sweet about John wanting to warn Todd and Janelle, like, you know, like he's like, you know, even though they're dicks, I gotta let them know, like, you know, I gotta.
And they're like totally reasonable people.
Yeah.
They're just like, hey, can you clean your room? He's like, eat my dick, you fucking cunt. And it's like, god damn, dude, Jesus
teenagers,
Christ,
man, just get your first hair, god damn.
Watch out, John, you're not the leader of the world.
Can you imagine, dude? Like the most like on the nose line. What do you think, you're the leader of the resistance, John?
Yeah. What do you think, you're gonna fight robots in the future and be the savior of humanity, John?
But talk to me about this scene, man. Like when he calls Janelle and where are you? That's okay.
Yeah. Well, you know, yeah, and
also,
I love
why
the fact
was
that
just
do what?
Why was she making dinner? What?
Well, that's actually what I was going to say. Was I think it's kind of funny that like the T-1000 was like, well, what did human females do at, you know, like blah 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 blah
Yeah,
blah,
they're in the
and it's
kitchen.
like Yeah, and it's like, oh, that's fantastic. You know, I guess if he came home and she was like swapping out the carburetor and like building a simple engine in the garage, to be like, I think something's wrong with mom. Like something's going on. But yeah, the fact that it like. But I love, you know, obviously besides like the joke about being in the kitchen, but like it's the act of that of what is one of the best ways you can show your appreciation or take care of somebody, and it's you make them a meal, you know, and you present something to them like, hey, I cooked you something. And what you know how that works also is with fucking animals. You put out bait and it takes the bait and you trap it. And I love the fact that this kind of like it's trying to not necessarily lure them in with, you know, beef stew, but it's the first thing that it thought about doing was like, how do I fit in? How do I just seem like normal to the situation that it calls for? And I love the fact that it's you know, and you could obviously just be reading way too much into it, but I love the fact that the robot is doing something as human as making food. That's kind of interesting, you know, like I've never seen any of the Terminators do anything like that in these movies. So like what I love though is that the T-1000 had to be like battle schematics, you know, blah 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 blah, beef stew recipe. Like had to, you know, look up and go. It like the T-1000 went to the store and bought like green onions.
Yeah.
You know,
he had the patch update of just like, all right, let's go, let's like what. He's got the recipe update. No, but that's a really good point, dude. It's like a spider like trying to lure in a fly, and it's like, how the hell do how do I do this? How do I do this efficiently? But man, like when, like how genius of this moment, like just this, like she switches up the phone so it's on the other side of her head. She puts her arm up. We don't know what happened yet, right? And just the sound design of. Like, you know, just that. Oh
yes, yeah. The crunchy snap, as I call it. Which, speaking of this, one more thing really quick that I love is when we get the first. I totally forgot to bring this up. When we have the first chase, when they're leaving the Galleria, when he grabs that truck driver and throws him out, and it's like, go rewatch
That's
that.
a crunch sound.
Like, there's no pad. Like there's like a crunchy wet sound. Like there's no pad for that guy to land on. There's no like fake, like how the fuck did you film that? Did you throw this guy into the concrete from a big rig? Like, god damn.
That's why we need a stunt fucking category at the Oscars. Like, you know what I mean? Like that is,
dude, yeah.
What's the dog name? Max. What's wrong with Wolfie? Wolfie's just fine, honey.
Yeah.
Wolfie's, your foster parents are dead. Dude, like this is a change in the register, like of his voice, and it's perfect.
Yes.
What a perfect scene.
I do hate that he kills the dog in the director's cut, because he goes out there to get the collar.
He does, yeah.
And I was like, because at first, when I first saw it, I was like, if he just goes out there and kills this dog, that's really stupid. The Terminator like wouldn't even bother. That's like a personal thing, you know. And I hate that he killed it, but I love the fact that it's like looks at the collar and it's like, I killed this thing for information. Like, yes, that is what I feel like a learning machine would do.
Absolutely. It realizes that it fucked up. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, oh shit.
Right.
Like, you know, it serves in my opinion, I think it serves a story point, but even though like you can get to the conclusion in the same way, I just love that it adds like, oh fuck, I know I've been outsmarted. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I'm sure they saw it and it's like, this scene isn't worth the letters. Let's just cut it.
Right. Yeah. Peter's going to be on us. And do you love that they added like blood to the collar as well? It's like, oh shit, dude. Like, you need to go that far, goddamn.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. Like, I'd love if he just took his arm into a knife and cut the collar off and just barely nicked the dog. And it's like, oh, sorry, dude. Like,
right.
It's something like totally like not murder.
So John's bonding with the Terminator. You know, he's talking about Sarah Connor. He's talking about like how he hated her for leaving him and all that stuff. And there's a lot here. Like, you know, like he realizes that everything that she said was true. She knew that nobody believed her. Like this is good stuff. Like, you know, like he's beating himself up because he never believed her either, and like everyone just thought that she was insane. And then he's like, all right, man, we got to break her out of there. Like, she's in there for no fucking reason. She might be able to help us. And the Terminator's like, nope. Like, we're not going there. That might be where the T-1000 goes. She might be terminated.
Yeah.
I love this. Like, wait, kid actors are so tough. Like, because like their voices are always like breaking. You know what? Fuck you. She's a priority to me. I always love that line delivery. Like that's always just been kind of like stuck in my head. Like it's like the Terminator grabbing him and like John just like really struggling. And then we get the goons that walk over. Oh, this is great.
These poor bastards.
You're calling moi a dipshit?
Oh man, I wish the Terminator had like malfunctioned and just shot him in the head right then. Oh fuck! Oh Jesus Christ, I blew it. Now I feel terrible for these guys because these guys are just good Samaritans who were like, oh man, I think he's trying to like molest that kid, and they run over there and he's like, shoot him in the fucking head. It's like, what the fuck, man?
I love it. I love that we're teaching this robot morals. I love that we're like it's exactly what it's so sweet and innocent. Like when you think about it, it's like this little kid who,
yes,
obviously doesn't like murder and stuff like that. He's teaching like this killing machine how to function like as a human. Like it's such a sweet story. So it's like something you'd see from like the Iron Giant.
That's what I was just thinking. That man, such a sad movie.
And dude, I always imagine like when he grabs this guy by the hair, I'm like, that would fucking hurt, man.
Ooh, I feel like that would scalp you, like that fucking Terminator pulling your just ripping your whole scalp off.
And I love how long he's got his leg up. Like,
dude,
put your foot down. Put your foot down.
That part did make me laugh out loud. Where he's like, excuse me, put your foot down, and he like oh my god, dude, that's so great.
Right. Trust me on this, that'll come back later. And then we get the face lick. Why?
Oh.
Why? I remember being a kid. I remember being like, why is that here? Like, because look, I like it because I like that he kind of gets his comeuppance in a big bad way.
Right.
But it just feels so out of the blue. It's like, what? Is this guy like out here like?
Is this like a Kill Bill thing?
Assaulting these these patients? What's going on here, man? Like, I need to know.
Yeah.
Or is he trying to like see if she's gonna react to it? Like what?
Well, yeah, and the actor they got to do it is like, oh yeah, that guy definitely looks like he does that shit, like they didn't get some like handsome suave, like they got some dude who, is like comic book guy's cousin from The Simpsons,
Dude, it's basically God damn it, what's his name? He's passed away.
That narrows it down.
Sorry, it's basically Philip Seymour Hoffman. Like, he looks just like him a little bit.
Yeah, he kind of is.
Yeah. God, I'm so bad at my job. But Sarah manages to break out. Like, she grabbed a paper clip, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And she kind of like breaks out of her locks. Like, it's so stupid. But like just sounds that are like to stay with you, like when you're like a 10-year-old. Like when she like blows the paperclip out of him, she's like, it's just like, I was like, come on, man. Like, why is that? I don't know. Why does that stay with me? What?
No, I know what you mean. It's like an ASMR thing, but I know what you mean because I've always thought about like that sound, and when she actually gets it in the lock, like the clickiness of it. I love that as a kid.
Yeah. So we see the T-1000 arriving in Pescadero. He's obviously let in because he's pretending to be a police officer. And I guess we'll kind of like just skip to like this security guard kill, right? Who is basically a twin. Not the last twin we'll see in this movie because
a lot of twins.
Yeah. Where's Danny DeVito when you need him? By the way, did you see? You might not have seen it because you don't watch the Oscars. Did you see the Batman reunion?
Oh yeah. Which I laughed because I was like, well, different Batman for Schwarzenegger, but yeah, close enough, But
I watched it live and I was like, this is so good. Like like I was not expecting. I'm sure like Keaton would have known about the bit before, but like when it cut back to his face, and I'm just like, this is Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I wanted him so bad to be like, I'm Batman. Just like mouthing it from the audience.
I read that he brought his ascot because he knew like the ascot that he's wearing, he wanted to look more like Bruce Wayne for the bit. It's so
nice. Good. Hell yeah.
It's so good. But this kill always stuck with me, dude. Like the way the T-1000 just rises up from the floor, like he's able to kind of like emulate the floor, and just the way this guy's like shaking, man, like, you know, the coffee cup falling on the ground. Like Cameron does such like just little things that really stick in your, like they're etched in your brain, you know?
Yes. Well, we have free coffee at work. Like we have a machine, and you can get like vanilla, hazelnut, whatever, Butterfinger coffee, which is actually ridiculously sugary, but tastes fucking amazing. But we have this machine, and it spits you out a coffee cup that has, I don't know if it's poker, but I think it's blackjack, and there's 2 cards on it. And like we'll get coffee at work and be like, "Hi, what'd you get?" And we'll basically do what they do in this movie. That, and I love when he kills the cop and he drags him away. He picks up the gun because it's like, oh yeah, he can't replicate simple machines. Like he has to have that weapon. I just love that little touch.
It's yeah. I'm sorry, I'm just watching the scene now, and everything feels so tactile and so real. Like even like, you know, that shot of like the security guard, like the way he lifts his like shoe, like his heel up, like it's kind of like a shot of like his shoes, and just how like scuffed like the tiles are. Like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like just you see little scratches in them, and it's like
Little
everything
imperfections.
Here, yeah, everything here like feels so real. You can tell you shot in an actual location. This is not something that was built for the, you know, for the set. Oh, it's amazing. But yeah, this one thing I always hated, man, is Face Licker just like dragging his baton like against the thing. It's like, you are a piece of shit. Like you just went to, you applied for this job just to be a piece of shit. Like that's honestly why you did it.
There's like a guy in there with schizophrenia that fell asleep for the first time in 11 days, and he's just fucking dragging his nightstick across the wall. It's like, good God.
Well, he's about to get some, dude, because he opens the closet door and he finds the broken off handle of the fucking broomstick. She turns around, bang! Like, oh,
yeah,
so
he about got Jeffrey Dahmer, you know.
It's so satisfying, just like seeing just the blood just spurt from his face. Oh.
Yes, yeah, I love that, and there's something about the glasses as well. The fact it shattered, it's like now you're blind and you have a broken fucking nose.
Yeah. And the way like Sarah Connor just like picks up the baton and she does that little skip down the hallway, like she's kind of like jaunty, you know. She's like light on her feet. She makes like no noise, and this is like when the idea of this movie kind of like being sterile like comes into play, because I guess like most of it, like a lot of it takes place here, but like like this environment where they're in, like everything's just white, you know, like it's gorgeous. Just a gorgeous movie, man.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they arrive at Pescadero. Oh, sorry, when I say they, I mean John and the T-800. And the T-800 just straight up kneecaps this guy.
Holy shit. Wow. Like, I didn't kill him. And it's like, dude, this guy will never walk again. He's like 50, 60 years old. And
he can't provide for his family again.
Right, yeah. This guy ends up killing his whole family and then himself. Like, okay, so maybe I indirectly killed him. No, yeah, that's what fucking cracks me up, is that it's like, okay, don't kill them, but still take one of the most lethal measured response. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you, dude?
Dude, he died of massive blood loss, turns out. Like, you know.
Yeah, that's like when people are like, oh, Batman doesn't kill. It's like, dude, I watched him in a movie pick up a crate with a batarang and slam it into the guy's head. Like, he is dead. He is fucking dead. I think it's
if we're talking about the chain of causation, I mean, I think you can track.
Oh, dude!
I think you can track it back to the Batman. You know?
Yeah, one of these goons goes home and he has like a cerebral hematoma and doesn't know it, and just acts out and like fucking kills, you know, strangles the babysitter and like kills himself. And it's like, I didn't do that. That was his choice. Oh, come on, Batman.
I mean, in law, there's a thing called, I've said this before, the but-for test. This would not have happened but for this action. And it's like, dude, like, this would not have happened but for the meeting of the Batman. Like, you know, you think if the Batman did not exist and this altercation did not happen, you'd be alive.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, talk to me about the scene. You know what? Fuck you. I'm done talking. All you're doing is agreeing. So you talk for a little bit. You tell me. Just tell me about how Sarah basically just kind of like manages the situation. She grabs the what's this? She takes some kind of like bleach or something.
Yeah, something. It looks like windshield washer fluid or something. But yeah, her breakout, I think, is fucking odd. Her throwing the keys up and the guard falling for the catch, which is like such a human thing to do. I love that, her breaking his arm and shit. But I gotta be honest, I think Pompadour hot. I think Pompadour cop is a little hot.
Don't tell me.
And I was like, man,
tell me that man.
She looks ridiculous. Let's be honest. Like that's something like that is a contender for.
Come on, man. They're in LA. She's like an LA too.
Yeah, in LA. Come on. But there's something about that.
You're saying she's like a Nashville 7? Is that what you're saying?
Maybe a 5. But I like the hair because it reminds me of like that Seinfeld episode about the woman with the big hair, and it's like, dude, this is that kind of hairstyle that almost like, holy shit. But the, you know, her what I love is that it's not Sarah having to have the Terminator and John come save her. Like, she was in the middle of escaping when they showed up. It's just very fortuitous that both those things happened at the same time. But her like her whole escape, and like originally I love when we see her running through the halls of this place. It's dreamlike, you know, and she's chasing Kyle Reese and it's well lit and she has like a 90 on, and now
Kyle!
It's like
I'll never forget, like, Kyle. We've gone past that moment, right, in the extended cut,
right,
where she's kind of like leaning up against the fence.
Mm-hmm.
Is that no? There is, because there is a dream sequence later where she sees, like, obviously that's decimation.
When she falls asleep at like that picnic table when they.
That's right.
Right before she goes after Dyson.
Right. In that moment, in the one that's cut, I'm pretty sure from memory, she's chasing Kyle. She opens the doors, and doesn't she just? Yeah. Like, isn't it just white? It's just white outside or something.
No, she goes outside and it kind of starts that scene. It shows her grabbing the fence, and I think you hear like
that's right,
and then it stops or whatever. But her fucking escape is really, really, really cool because, you know, she plans everything out like extremely well, and like she's not like taking risks that she doesn't have to take, and she's not going for like a gun. Like she's just trying to get out in like the least lethal way possible. Literally all she does is break an arm and a nose and she's out, you know. And the moment that she goes to that elevator door and that dung, God, like that fucking sound is so great. And what I love is that the movie makes like the horror of like having survived a Terminator and then be put into another engagement with two of them, the horror of her seeing that thing and being like, oh my God, like the fact that everybody has said that this shit is made up, that nobody believed you, that you know that this thing is real. You know how many times she eventually was like, maybe I am just crazy, like maybe that didn't happen. Like, I'm sure at some point she questioned herself, and to like have any kind of doubt and shit like that and then be proven totally right as that thing steps through the elevator, it is the like, in the best case scenario, she's wrong and she made it up in her head, you know, like that is the best case scenario. And the fact that the worst case scenario is that thing walking out of the elevator, and it's like, oh fuck, I almost wish I was wrong, you know, like I almost wish this thing really wasn't here. Just an unbelievable scene, and like they paint the picture of that like terror unbelievably well. I think they do a fantastic job, and to see this badass like muscle bound, I think she trained with like the Israeli task force or something like that.
I believe it.
That's Linda Hamilton, not Sarah Connor.
Yeah, I believe it. Yeah.
But I love seeing how this.
When would Sarah Connor have trained with the Israeli task force.
Well, because John says something that she shacked up with like a bunch of dudes, anybody who could show her like combat stuff. So
okay,
that's why I was like, okay, wait a minute. Yeah, I want to clarify. Fucking idiot.
Also, just really quickly, visually, like the all black wearing T-800 in the all white hallway is just,
yes,
you know what I mean? It's so genius.
But what I love is the fact that it turns this badass mother of the resistance into the sniveling, screaming puddle of like fear, clawing on the floor, trying to get away from it. And it's like, that's how bad this thing is. Like, we just saw her break a guy's nose and fucking concoct out of a maximum security mental hospital. And the second she saw this thing, she turned into a fucking child.
Away.
And that's not to say, I mean, she's obviously still a badass. Like, the second they get into that elevator and like it's stabbing through the top, she just doesn't even, she grabs the pistol out of T-800's waistband and just starts firing.
She goes to town.
Like, this is what, and this is not something like I talk about like a whole lot, but when people say strong female character, I think it might have been Emily Blunt or what's her name from Dr. Sleep, Rose the Hat. Rebecca Ferguson?
Rebecca Ferguson. Yeah.
One of the two of them, I can't remember, but they were like, anytime I see, they're both God. She was like, anytime I see strong female lead in a script, I just don't even read it anymore. She's like, because I know it's not going to be, it's just going to be dog shit. What I love is seeing characters like I'd say like the duo of like sci-fi like badass women is, Ripley and Sarah.
Yeah.
Right. But I love seeing like, I feel like a lot of movies get it wrong where she's just a bitch, like that's how they portray like a strong female character, because that's all like the writers understand. They're like, all I have are negative experiences with women, so they must all be crazy. But like, I love the fact that this movie doesn't highlight it. It doesn't try to like make a big deal out of it. She just is what the situation needs her to be. And like, I wish more movies got that right about like quote unquote strong female characters. It's like, take the second part of that out and get the first and the third part. You need a strong character, and then you can make them male or female or whatever, that I do wholeheartedly love this movie as like someone who came from, my mom's a very strong woman and my wife's very strong woman. Like, they're very like willful people. And I hate seeing like movies just try to, for one thing, it's pandering and they're not good characters. So like, I love the fact that this movie does it and then doesn't even make a big deal out of it. She's just an awesome character. And I'm like, that is fucking great.
Right. Yeah. She does look into the camera and is like, see, girls can do it better. You know what I mean? Like, this,
right. Like the end of Captain Marvel when she's like, I don't have to fight you. And I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Look, that's tough. That's a tough beat. We get our first "Come with me if you want to live." Oh wait, does that happen? No, that happens in the first one. Sorry.
Yeah.
Kyle Reese says it. Yeah, my bad. But "Come with me if you want to live." History repeating itself. It's just the weirdest. Honestly, it's the weirdest, and I think this might be my subconscious speaking, because I listened to "Hey, Do You Remember's" episode so many years ago. But they also said this. It's just the weirdest line to repeat in the movies. Like, it happens in every movie. Like, it's just a weird line.
Why is that the one that stuck?
Right, exactly. I mean, it's so situational. It's like, why does that happen? But anyway, man, like you said, like them getting into the elevator and just like, something that'll stick with me is like the Terminator kind of like doing the spin as he fires the shotgun. Like doing
yeah.
Like, it's good stuff.
Such a good scene.
And then, the T-1000 giving chase. Oh, actually, before the T-1000 just copping a fucking shotgun blast in the face and like,
dude, that is like some John Carpenter The Thing level, like body horror kind of like sci-fi shit.
Yeah. And do we want to talk about the Simpsons parody of like the T-1000?
Dude, you read my mind. You read my mind. Nettie. He's got the golf clubs. I mean, it gave birth to one of the most iconic gifts of all time of Homer just like dipping into the shrubbery. Yeah, that's the same episode when he becomes like obsessed with Flanders and he's like, okay, all right. And he just slips into the bushes. Oh man, that's good.
Is that the same one where he's kind of like in the church and he's got the whistle on his nose? He's like,
oh, I can't remember. I think so. I might be wrong though, but yeah, I definitely know what you're talking about.
Sorry, I was just laughing at that scene. But this is brilliant, man. Like I love that even John is given some agency here. Like I love that like Sarah and the Terminator are firing at this thing and like they're passing John the guns to reload. Like, you know, it's brilliant. It's good stuff. Like everyone is given something to do here. And the T-1000 is quite honestly just terrifying. Like just absolutely terrifying. Like
right.
He's so determined to complete his mission, and you can feel that determination. You can feel just how much it needs this to happen.
Oh, dude, the moment that he gets slung off the back, rolls, and as he
clink,
rolls
clink, 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 clink.
Well, like as he rolls that last second, he goes from like being into the roll to like using the momentum to get himself right back up on his feet and start running. You're like, dude, there's no pause and like, oh fuck, you know, and take off. It's just as soon as he can, he's back on his feet flying. I'm like, holy hell.
No, absolutely. Well, yeah, one moment I'll never forget is like him on the back of the car and just like slamming his hand into the back windshield.
Oh,
and just like just the glass spraying everywhere. It's so good. Sarah checks on John to make sure he's okay. You know, we kind of like. I love like immediately like, God damn it, you have to be smarter than that. You know, you could have been killed. Like, you know, you're the leader of the resistance. God damn it. But John's just so. Like Edward Furlong plays this so well. He's just like, God damn, like you see it in his face. Like I'm sorry. Like he has this like He has this like this look of like regret of holy shit. I'm sorry I didn't believe you.
Right. Yeah. And I love him kind of like coming around to the fact that he's, you know, if she was right about this, what else can she possibly be right about? And like now he's fully on board, you know. Same thing with Claire Danes and T3, you know, like once they kind of like see what's going on, everybody's on board. I love it.
Absolutely. So we get this scene where they kind of like stop over this, I guess, like garage, and she's taking out the bullets. And if I remember correctly, you can correct me, Colin. There was a moment here in the extended edition where they needed to take his CPU out, and she is contemplating crushing the CPU.
Right. Yeah. There's you just summed it up, and John convinces her not to with a great line that I hate that gets cut out of the theatrical cut, which is you know, they're arguing back and forth. And she's like, John, you don't understand. It's it, not him, like blah, blah, blah. And he's like, if I'm supposed to be this great leader of humanity and I can't even get my own mother to listen to me, how is anybody else going to? And it's like, good line, you know. But I like the fact that there's like no maternal love, like, oh my God, I've missed you, blah, blah, blah. She's like, you're a fucking idiot. Why did you come here? And like, there is immediate animosity between the two of them, you know, that's like, it's measured and it's come from a caring place. But I love the fact that it's like they've been apart for God knows how many years and they're immediately at each other's throats, you know?
Yeah. It's good character building. It's good character work. Because, you know, like everyone kind of like dismisses this movie. Dismisses might be the wrong word. It's too strong. Everyone thinks about this movie as the action movie, right? Like the quintessential action film. But it's got so much storytelling. It's got so much character work. It's got so much building. There's so much that happens in between the action in between the action scenes and during the action scenes. Like I just talked about how John is reloading the weapons. Like the idea that this kid is reloading the weapons for these two fucking maniacs is so good. Like the agency that he's given is fantastic. Do we want to talk about how amazing this transition is? Like the Terminator standing there in the office,
dude.
and
the silent guardian, a watchful protector. Oh my god, it's so good.
A Dark Knight.
Yeah. And honestly, watching this was like, man, it would have been great to see Eddie Furlong as a fucking Robin in a Batman movie.
Oh,
like
yeah.
he's got that spunky kind of like squeaky voiced charm, I guess. But I say before we go any further though, you want to take a break, grab something to drink?
Baby, you read my mind. You read my mind. We're gonna take a quick break here, folks, and we'll be right back with more coverage of Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. We're back with T2, and we're bonding. We're bonding with the T800, aren't we? We're freshly squeezed. Fuck, I almost said that.
There you go.
There we go. Holy shit. By the way, dude, did you know that this week we are celebrating our 6 years? 6 years.
Yeah.
That's some crazy
6 years.
shit.
6 years this month doing the podcast.
6 years. Like I'm kind of like blown away. Like it's just, I don't know. Like when I think back to where I was 6 years ago, I'm just like, holy shit. Like I was just about to graduate, which is pretty wild. I was not a lawyer yet. And if you'd asked me 6 years ago if I thought I'd still be podcasting, I definitely would have said no. I'm like, I'm like, there's no way.
Well, especially when there's only about 8 months of good episodes in that 6 years, like.
That's it, baby. That's it. All right, let's do this. So we're here bonding with the T800. John tells him about slang, right? Like this if you want to find something that hasn't really aged well, probably this.
I mean, for the time, I get it. Yeah, but yeah, and like, I mean, there's so much stuff though, like slang from like the early 2000s now. It's just like, oh man, for shizzle, and it's like, oh god, like, it's so dated.
Yeah, it's rough. But anyway, so there's a little bit of bonding. They it teaches to smile, right? I mean, like, or is that in the extended cut? The smiling, I think, is in the extended cut.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
But that's always stuck with me. Like this, like the smile that he gives back to John is just so like, what the fuck?
Yeah, the most forced, like fucking robotic shit.
Yeah, but I love that he scans like an actual smile, and you see like the scan, like how it picks it up, and like it's just good stuff. But he talks about Judgment Day, he talks about Cyberdyne, talks about Skynet going self-aware. In the panic, they try and pull the plug. Skynet fights back. Blah blah. It launches his missiles against the targets in Russia, and then he talks about why they attack Russia. Like Skynet knows about the Russian counterattack in the US, and all that stuff. It's good stuff. Like world domination, world domination by the machines.
Right.
He's got detailed files about Miles Dyson, and Sarah wants to know everything, right? And then they head to, hey Holmes.
Oh, Enrique.
Hey, orale vatos, let's go.
I like this dude. Like, he's hardly on fucking screen, but I just love the the fact that Sarah can walk into this guy's like compound and she'd be like, yeah, I'm taking your shit, and like, I need a helicopter or whatever. It's like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah, like you definitely feel like a bit of history,
Yeah, the part that kills me, speaking of accents in this movie, the part that kills me is John at one point being like, we spent some time in Nicaragua, and I was like, okay, calm down, dude, calm down. That's a bit much.
He puts a little bit of sauce on there,
Right. If you're from there, great. That's probably how you pronounce that. But it's like Steven Seagal level of like. So I was, I was at the.
I was an Aikido master.
Yeah, right. Or, I was hanging out with Rabbi Hermo, and it's like, okay, calm down, dude.
Oh,
like, Jesus.
shit. Do you love the family just like bouncing out of the bus? Like, just like, hey.
Dude,
Hey.
yeah, that and him picking up the fucking baby.
Dude,
and, like, just
the
staring
baby
at
just
it.
not reacting. The baby just like, just swinging. Just swinging in the fucking midst of this giant man.
Just shit running down his leg.
But I mean, as a 10-year-old man, like you can't not love him like unearthing the arsenal of weaponry at the fucking and just walking down like picking up the minigun and being like, oh yeah, this is it,
Yeah, a very similar to like T3 did that, as well with the coffin and stuff. I thought that was really well done. I appreciated that in T3.
Definitely. John talks about Sarah. He says he sees her crying sometimes, and like she denies it sometimes, and that's why do you cry?
Yeah, I don't know why you cry.
It's endearing, man. It's just like by the time he goes down into the molten lava at the end, you're like, damn, like you kind of like really started to connect with this guy. He really started to root for him.
Absolutely. It's definitely one of those like one of my favorite TV shows is Spaced, the Simon Pegg, Nick Frost, Edgar Wright TV show that came out before Shaun of the Dead. And in the first episode, he's like on the sidewalk talking to his girlfriend in her apartment. She's kicking him out, and he's like, "I know what you're gonna say. I know you're gonna say I don't have a heart, that I have no emotions." He's like, "I cried like a baby at the end of Terminator 2," and he puts his thumb up, and he's like, the lava thing, and I've always like in the first 2 minutes of that show, I was like, this show's for me. I love this whole like the hoarding of like guns and stuff. This comes back a few times in like the Terminator, that basically there's like these wells of like just scattered throughout like the desert, that there's just these wells of like, oh, okay, yeah, we can get some guns and fight and blah blah blah.
We just talked about it in T3, right? I mean, like Sarah left it in her like little coffin and all that shit. All right, let's get to the no fate for what we make moment. She's kind of like carving it into the picnic table, and she rests her head. I love the way she rests her head against her arm, and you got the glow of the sun just coming in. It's so gorgeous. It's such a, we were talking about how cold and sterile the color palette for this movie looks, but when we're here, it feels like she's in Mexico. I know it's not supposed to, but
dude, yeah. For sure. It's like
this
a Breaking Bad
episode.
Moment.
This is the nightmare moment. The miniature work from Stan Winston and company is just absolutely gobsmacking.
Yeah.
Like this scene's been talked about to death, but
well, I love hearing from the people that were on the set. Like the special effects guys were like, yeah, it was a pretty rough day, like for weeks, and days we were just around a child's graveyard, basically. Like at a, not to mention there's like her on the fence, like writhing in pain. They said it was pretty brutal I think they did something, or like Robin Williams came to set or something. No, that was Schindler's List. I think they said that there's like, they did something. They're like, yeah, we all went to like a batting cage or something on break and hit ball and something like that. I can't remember what they did, but they said, yeah, just looking around, and there's like, they said it was even worse when it was just the playground, when there was no kids, because it was so much more ominous. Like no kids being there. It's like, oh Jesus,
it's insane. Like you can absolutely see the labor of love, though. Like you can absolutely just like there's no. I hate to say this. I hate to be that guy, but like, there's just not like, you don't see work like this put into stuff like this anymore. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't.
Yeah.
This is just commitment from start to finish. Like, this is what we're going for.
I would say, did you see the Fallout TV show trailer?
I did. Yeah, I did.
I'm digging it.
Looking very excited. Man. Yeah, looking very good. I'm hesitant because the last show that Jonathan Nolan created was Westworld, and they kind of like left that hanging. But I'm very excited. I'm very keen.
Dude, yeah, I'm obviously a big fan of both of these like franchises, and but I think there's something I think there's something great about, as good as the Fallout TV show will probably be. It's going to be all digital, for the most part, maybe 10% practical. And this was like opposite. This was like they have like you see the bomb hitting downtown, and that's digital CGI, whatever you want to call it. And then they have like that actual Seth, and I'm like, holy shit, this is just. Oh, it's
just the buses being blown away, and oh man,
yes.
like her flesh tearing off as she's like still holding onto the chain link fence.
Right. That there are things that happen so fast when a bomb like that goes off that like you'll have you'll still be reacting to it as it's happening. It's like, oh, good God, man.
Yeah, I think about like all time greatest sort of like nuclear blasts and shit. Like, and I know people fucking hate this movie, but Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull has a pretty great nuclear explosion moment. Like, forget about him surviving in a lead-lined fridge, just forget about that. But the way that we lead up to the explosion is fantastic. Like the sound, like there's a moment in that, like, so he kind of like realizes that he's in one of those sort of like fake towns and shit like that. He's looking around like at all the mannequins. He's like panicking. But then once he's in the fridge, you just get like this flash, and like you focus on the face of one of the mannequins, and it starts like melting. And then it's just like, oh no, it's happening. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. Before the actual nuclear explosion. Yeah.
There's a Fallout Easter egg in one of I think it might be 4 or 3 or New Vegas when you find a fridge and there's a skeleton with like the Indiana Jones get up. It's like a little Easter egg you get.
That's awesome. So Sarah takes off after this sort of this nightmare sequence. She's kitted out in my favorite. Like, if this was a skin of Call of Duty on Warzone or something, I would buy this. Like, she's kind of like decked out in like the military fatigue, and she's got like the green beret hat on and the aviators. She's total
like Thomas Jane at the end of Punisher when he like goes through with the skull on the Kevlar. Like, we got to cover that.
She looks badass, dude. She looks badass.
Yeah, she does. We got to cover Punisher. You, me, and Danny. I know Danny loves that movie.
I can't remember if I liked it or not. I remember him fighting that big German guy.
Yeah, the Russian. Yeah. Still
a
fun movie. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's definitely no T2, which is what we're talking about.
Keeping it on the rails. I love it. It only took you 6 years. This is my least favorite moment from Edward Furlong. She's gonna blow him away.
Yeah, he's got some rough moments. That one's up there, but it's like, he's a child.
He's a child. Did you see the shit that came out about Jake Lloyd this week? Like,
yeah, his mom said he's in like a better kind of place now, and that he can actually like, because I think he had like, I think it was schizophrenia.
Yeah. Full, like he had a fit apparently while he was driving, and veered his car off the road and shit, and like that he was in the hospital for like last month, and
that's awful.
Yeah, it's terrifying, man. Like it's so bad. I hope he's getting the help that he needs, and apparently he still loves Star Wars, which is pretty cool to hear.
I mean, that's just a miracle in and of itself that you can still enjoy it.
Yeah, definitely. But before we do get that moment, like, we get the no fate for what we make. The future is not set kind of like idea that this movie sort of lives by. And then, man, we get one of my favorite moments in this entire movie, which is the assault on the Dyson house. Holy shit. Like, this, just how patient Cameron is with this entire sequence. You get Danny, the young boy, driving his sort of like little monster truck through the house, and this feels like you just know something's about to happen, and like Sarah's kind of like lining him up in her sights, and the truck hits his leg, so she misses the shot, and then dude, the moment where all the music drops out and she stands up and she realizes she didn't make a shot, she switches it to full auto and she just goes, and I'm like, whoa, whoa. Oh, talk to me about this moment, dude. It's crazy.
Well, she looks like a fucking Mortal Kombat character.
I agree.
But yeah, I what I think is hilarious is she misses every single shot, and the fact it's like, man, you had a full clip, holy shit.
Well, but, you know what? She's not the leader of the resistance, so
that's what I was gonna say. I would, yeah. And you know how many times John played that as a kid, where she's like, "No, John, you can't have any more, whatever," and he's like, "Well, I am gonna be the leader of the world. Like, I'm gonna need those cookies, Mom.
I'm gonna need the bitches." Yeah.
But yeah, I like this scene a lot because it starts off very differently from where it ends up. I like it a lot.
Oh yeah, absolutely, dude. Like her walking by the pool and pulling out that pistol, like burned into my brain. But yeah, like what I love about this scene is that her humanity takes over. She is not the machine that she wants to be.
Right.
It's so it's actually kind of deep for something that gets hailed as the greatest action movie of all time. She straight up walks in and she tells Dyson's wife, "Get on the floor, bitch."
Yeah, for real.
Like, holy shit. Okay, and you think she's gonna blow these guys away, but no, her humanity prevents that. Like, it's so good. It's so good. It's what sets her apart from the Terminators. But,
well, I love the fact that the Terminator dishes the sunglasses, becomes humanized, and then when Sarah goes to Dyson's house, she has the sunglasses on.
That's fantastic.
Shuts off that windows to the soul kind of thing.
It's beautiful. And, this is all without saying how good Linda Hamilton's performance here is. And she kind of slinks down that wall,
Absolutely.
So the Terminator and John arrive. Do we want to talk about this? The arm carving scene.
Oh, yeah, of course we have to talk about it. Holy shit.
Just wow. So apparently, and I don't know how much of this is true. I can't. It's tough for me to imagine scenes like this being improvised or people not being told about stuff, because you must have got the script, right? You must have got the script for that day and saw that this was happening, because the story goes that the actor that plays Miles Dyson and his wife did not know that this was going to happen, or did not know that, what the prosthetic looked like or something like that, and their reactions are genuine.
I mean, that would be cool if true, but yeah, it's like, dude, there's countless rehearsals, and I mean, I don't know. I could see that being true, but also it's an incredible piece of.
Their reaction is great. Their reaction does feel genuine.
Yeah, absolutely. But the fact that they show him something that I don't think that they know that he has a Terminator arm, but it just so happens to be the arm is the thing where he's like, oh shit.
Of course.
But what I love is the surgicalness, the most efficient cut, cut around and then down cut. just to deglove. It's like, oh, dude, that is fucking brutal.
It's fantastic, and obviously we've been singing the praises of Stan Winston here, but my God, does this thing look incredible? There's no CG enhancement or anything like that. It is something you can touch and grab and possibly be crushed by. It's
absolutely, and the fact that it doesn't look like they just taped Schwarzenegger's arm to his body and put another arm. It looks legit. Yeah. It looks very, very good.
You know what it actually looks like? The actual material of the metal. It looks like bike chains. It's got that kind of that look about it.
Like a very hingy, jointy kind of,
And then we get Sarah's kind of voiceover. Dyson sat down and listened as the Terminator laid it all down. I love this. Skynet, Judgment Day, the history of things to come. And then it cuts to Dyson. So I think I'm going to be sick.
Yeah. Pretty reasonable response.
Yeah, fair enough, honestly. If you were told that you are the reason for the downfall of humanity.
Right. Yeah. You're the reason that basically all of humanity just gets wiped out. And he's like, can you just shoot me in the head instead of the shoulder? Can you just blow my brains out?
But this is what you were talking about, and this is one of the most exciting aspects of this movie is this line that he says here, "You're judging me on things that I haven't even done yet." You know what I mean? Like, it's just
Right.
like, do you believe in free will? Do you believe that, like, now that I have this knowledge, I can change my actions? You know, I can change what I'm about to do. It's brilliant.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, and just his immediate commitment to the whole thing, his immediate like, okay, yeah, I'll quit tomorrow. Yeah, you want to blow the place up? Cool, yeah, let's fucking blow the place up. Like, there's no like objection from him.
That's it. And I love like him trying to mitigate it like immediately. He's like, all right, you know what? Fuck it, I'll quit Cyberdyne tomorrow. And they're just like, well, that's not enough. Like, we need to. We got to go in and destroy the lab. Like, he's in it immediately, right?
Right.
And I feel like there was stuff in between here, like extended stuff, but I can't really remember because like we kind of like head off to Cyberdyne after this.
Yeah. Well, the fact that as soon as they get there, it's not like, okay, yeah, we'll, go get blah, 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 blah. It's like, no, we're going now. Like, we have the guns and stuff. Like,
That's
we're
right.
just going to, we're just going to load up. Like, let's not waste any more time because also like one thing we haven't seen in a while is the T-1000. I forgot how much of a break we actually get from him.
That's true.
Even though it doesn't really feel like it's like, it's not like he's missing from half the movie or something, but you kind of forget where it's like, oh yeah, so there's this kind of these two parallel like stories going on with him hunting them down and then trying to stop whatever the hell is going on.
Absolutely. I love when they arrive to Cyberdyne and Dyson's trying to get him past security, and this poor security guard's just like, Mr. Dyson, you know the rules about letting people into the laboratory. And fuck, just the Terminator and Sarah just whip out their weapons, and I love that you see it from their point of view, and it's just like, oh, okay, all right. Even like John gets in on it, like he grabs a tape.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, this is a family event.
Yeah, exactly. But then you get this other security guy who's like, Gibbons, come on, man, you can't leave your desk like that. Dude, this guy has an amazing reaction as he walks into the bathroom. He doesn't even let Gibbons out, like he doesn't even let. Yeah. He's like, oh shit.
Yeah, and he just runs the fuck away. I mean, I get it. Like, yeah, you got to put the call out. We can get this fucking asshole out later. But holy shit, yeah, that is so fucking good.
But
like, holy shit, and runs back to the break room and gets the hot pocket out of the microwave.
I've always loved that reaction. Like as soon as he said, oh shit.
Yeah.
But anyway, Dyson's card access doesn't work, and he's like, "Hold on, let me try." Fucking blows a hole in the wall, dude. This is my introduction to grenade launchers. I'd never seen grenade launchers before this. My brother always laughed at the sound that it made, the reload sound, the dunk dunk dunk, like the reload sound. So cool. But then we're here, aren't we? We're with the T-1000. He's investigating the Dyson house, right? He's fully kitted out with the helmet and the aviators, and he hears the call, he hears that something's going down at Cyberdyne, and he takes off. And then, like the last, I guess, 45 minutes of this movie is just pure unbridled action. It's gorgeous, it's beautiful. We'll touch on the main. Well, I'll touch on the main parts of it, but if you feel like that I'm floating over things, just let me know. Like, feel free to go back. But
yeah, sure.
But the helicopter arrives, and obviously it triggers this police response. Like they wire the office up with C4. Like they're about to blow this thing to the gills, and man, what does the T-800 do? And probably the most iconic sequence in the movie. The minigun. Grabs the minigun. I love him kicking the desk out of the window and just goes to town, right?
Dude, yeah. I think that this, and then probably, I don't know, I think the motorcycle chase is probably more like iconic from like a cinematic point of view, but when it comes to somebody with just a big gun unloading,
the sound design is incredible here, man. The sound of the minigun is oof.
This is Rambo 3 when he takes out the helicopter, with the fucking like Gatling gun. It's just one of those moments that you love. It's Matrix Revolutions when the Sentinels come like pouring through the holes and they're just blasting. It's just fucking great to watch. And the fact that he's taking,
Revolutions, but come on.
Man. Oh no, I just like that part. I like seeing them fight the Sentinels. Aren't they called Sentinels? Is that what
Sentinels,
they're called?
Yeah.
I just like to see them fight those Sentinel things and the big mech suits. I was like, oh, that's cool. But yeah, I like all of this, and the fact that as he's going through, it's non-lethal takedowns, and he's just wiping, like blowing up cop cars and just throwing people to the side.
The sound of the minigun bullets hitting the grass, like the sound, like again, the sound design is just absolutely unparalleled. But like as the cops hide behind that hill and like he's kind of like just striking like the top of the hill and you just hear the thumping of the grass. It's so good. It's even like the pilot tearing away. That's a damn minigun. Oh.
Yeah, they're like, fuck this, man.
It's brilliant. Do we want to talk about our friend? Our friend Hank, who shows up to the party, dude.
That's right, dude. I forgot about that. It's been so many years since I've seen this. That's not. He pops up like a couple of times in in just random movies.
Random shit, right? He was in The Negotiator.
That's what I was gonna say. He's always law enforcement. I don't think this is his first time playing a cop. Like besides Hank.
Right. Exactly. By the way, he said my name. Just wanna.
Say my name, say my name.
He said my name, baby. Listen to episode 1 of season 2 of Bad Crystal, a Breaking Bad podcast, and you'll hear the message. Or it might be season 3, actually. I can't remember which episode it was on, but we played the message. But yeah, the SWAT enter, and again, just the music, just everything here is fantastic. And I don't know, man. I don't know how to talk about this scene. There's just so much. Dyson getting shot. Right, and then he's having to he unalives himself in the most
goes down with the ship.
Harrowing sequence, like the breathing,
absolutely. Yeah, the labored, like the last, like just holding it as long as he fucking can.
So good.
And being like not being like fuck you and like killing the cops. He's like, hey, you might want to get the fuck out of here.
Right.
Like I like the fact that even in this like act of terrorism, there's still this humanity to him where it's like, hey, yeah, get the fuck out, man. Like this is going down whether you like it or not. And the again, like seeing Cyberdyne, like this cold, sterile kind of place turned into like a pigsty with like glass shattered everywhere, paper is all thrown around. Like, oh man, I love seeing this place just kind of turned upside down. And this, like, the one source of color in the room is the thing that's about to destroy it. It's the big yellow like barrels or whatever.
Yeah, and
I love that.
And then speaking of yellow, he drops the thing on the detonator, and he goes up in a giant fireball and a giant practical explosion, man. And we see one of my favorite shots in this entire movie is the helicopter in the foreground and the explosion in the background. Just stunning. We got a war zone down there. The Terminator takes on the SWAT team with the gas grenades, and I love that he just fires it into their bodies.
Oh, dude, yeah. He's just pegging him right in the chest with a fucking basically a big like metal baseball.
Right.
Like, oh God.
Right. And I'll never forget the T-1000 maneuvering the bike up the stairs and shit like that.
Dude, that is fucking cool. Like I think my favorite part of almost this entire thing is when the T-1000 drives his bike into the helicopter and like melts into the seat, and he just looks at the guys, get out. Yeah. And like that, I absolutely adore that. That and the moment where, if you pay attention, at one point he has 3 arms.
Yeah,
like he has like a submachine gun, and I think he's flying or something. I can't remember what he's doing, but yeah, there's a 3-armed.
That's such a throwaway moment too. Like that is such a blink and you miss it. Like
yes,
you know what I mean.
Like they don't make a big deal out of it at all.
Also, like when the Terminator goes outside, when the T-800 goes outside to grab the SWAT van to pick up John and Sarah. Just before that, he just stands there and just fires the smoke canisters, and it's like at that moment you realize that you're like, these cops are so beneath what's happening right here, right now. This is like gods battling. This would be like Thor battling Loki and police officers just firing their pistols at this guy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is so out of their pay scale.
Dude, yeah. This was, I think, very was this pre-Hollywood Shootout? Because Hollywood Shootout's like 95.
Oh, yeah. I think it was mid-90s, yeah.
Yeah, so that it was definitely pre Hollywood Shootout. But the that action scene is just absolutely packed to the gills, and I love seeing all the different, like, you know, again, the climax of the, like, right when you think, okay, this is probably going to be the climax. You know, we're 2 hours in. Here's this big building.
We're just getting started, baby.
Yes, we're jumping in a truck, and then we're going to fight a 3-armed man and a fucking still
crazy.
You know, oh, dude. Well, and this and Demolition Man really kind of introduced me to liquid nitrogen. And I was like, what the fuck? And it was like, liquid nitrogen was, I thought I was going to come across it a lot more in my life. Like quicksand.
Like quicksand?
You know? Yeah. And I was like, no, I never really could.
You know why we both said quicksand? Because we both listened to It's Always Sunny. Like, they have the same exact conversation in that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I thought you were gonna say because we both grew up in like country ass places, like more rural parts.
Yeah, probably.
The shot of the helicopter going under the bridge is just, again, like something that's insane. So not necessary, but like, I mean, you know, because I feel like that took them for fucking ever to do, because it was so many safety regulations and stuff.
Worth it. Honestly, worth it. Like this is so. Look at how close this helicopter is to the ground. Like, dude, you know what I mean? In so many shots.
I want to say it was James Cameron who told the crew, you know, like you have to go under the thing. And I think he ended up doing it just to be like, see, I'll do it. And then he either got in the helicopter or was flying in the helicopter filming and was like, I'll just fucking do it. That's, and they did it. And it's like, but still though, yeah, that is so fucking crazy, man. Like that's. Oh.
And I know it's not the same, and you know this people are gonna sigh at this comparison. I'm sorry, but Michael Bay does this in his latest movie. He does. Like, there's a great moment where there's 2 helicopters flying through the LA River under bridges, like real helicopters, and in the foreground, Jake Gyllenhaal's like leaning out of this ambulance, and these are real actual like helicopters, and it's like, damn, like, you know. You can tell, like, great practical action filmmaking. You can, like, pick it out pretty easily, and it's like, it just adds so much to the sequence. Like, this moment here when the T-1000 rams the fucking helicopter in the back of the SWAT van, like, that is an actual helicopter smashing into the back of an actual SWAT van.
Yeah, I love the, you know, it's such a crazy like ask of like your crew and shit, you know, but ultimately, you know, that a lot of those people are just so excited to be like, dude, yeah, this is going to look amazing. Like once we actually are able to, you know, to see it like done. But I think one of my favorite Terminator, like the T-800 parts, is him climbing out of the pickup and going up on the hood of the thing and
smashing him in the face,
unloading, dude. I like I moan every time I see it, because it's like he just turns him into like a puddle. Yeah. Like you can hear like the of like the wetness of the shots. I'm like, God, not only that, damn,
but like Schwarzenegger, one hand on the truck, one hand on the gun, just oh.
Yes, and I'm not even like a big action movie guy, you know. Like we've done this podcast for a while, and very rarely do I ever pick like an action movie, you know. And this is one of those movies that like I could watch parts of this over and over and again, and like I love how incredibly like smooth and confident he is climbing up on the hood of that truck and just unfucking loading, and the people who did these stunts are just top tier, man. Him reaching in and pulling the fucking steering wheel and like tipping everything over,
just genius.
and hanging off the fucking windshield as the thing is still moving. It's like, man, that is a person who is supremely confident and competent at their job. Whoever the stunt person is.
I completely agree.
Holy
The movements look so natural. Like, it doesn't look rehearsed. It just looks so natural. Like, do you reckon this guy the guy that the T-1000 hijacks his truck from? Do you reckon he was just like, going by a donut shop or some shit? Because I mean, like, he's pretty close. Like, you're driving like a tanker full of nitrogen past a smelting plant. Like, I mean, like, surely that can't be a pre-approved route. Like, surely you're going a little bit. You're diverting course a little bit, right? Like, you shouldn't be here.
Well, I love that he was probably, wow, I can't wait to get home to my wife and 9 children, and then just gets like stabbed. He's like, oh, thank God, I hated those kids, and just dies.
Here lies George, nitrogen driver. Yeah, sorry, I can't not just. I keep like finding myself looking at my monitor and just getting caught up in the movie and just watching it. But yeah, the truck like slides into this nitrogen plant. Obviously, the nitrogen plant comes apart. What do you think about the Terminator just like tucking and rolling, dude?
I dig it, man.
Yeah.
I dig it because it makes the most sense, like just to roll, like don't try to just land, like just roll with the fucking acceleration.
I always forgot that happened, like that he just kind of like tucks and rolls.
It's a pretty funny looking roll. I mean, it doesn't take me out of the movie, but it's definitely like a lot of like him coming at the screen.
And then we get what I call death number 1 for the T-1000, because he's never quite right after this. And this is awesome, dude. Like the nitrogen, like him, like just still approaching the
legs falling apart. Like, oh, dude,
it looks so good. It looks so incredible.
It's and again, 1991. And part of me wants to. It's like, dude, how did you do that? And then there's another part of me that's like, you know what? I don't even want to know. Like, don't tell me. So it'll ruin it.
They do a moment like this in Terminator Salvation. They superheat a T-800 and then they super cool it so it freezes. And I can tell you right now, it looks nowhere near as good as this. Like this still looks so fantastic. You obviously get the T-800's big moment, right? Hasta la vista, baby. And then, yeah, again, the sound design is incredible as he shoots him, and you just hear the little tinkling of all the glass and the fucking, just falling apart.
Yeah.
And
but I love a good. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I love that the T-800 knows that it's not done. The T-800 says, like, all right, we got to keep going because he knows it's going to pull itself together.
That's what I was going to say. Like, I love all these parts like coming back together and reforming into this thing, and that it's not like an instantaneous thing. It is a machine. Like, it takes a while. It's like, yeah, I gotta recast and mold myself. Like, dude, that takes a fucking second. And again, just like I think there's something terrifying about just the blankness of when it reassembles, where it's like that's what it really looks like. It doesn't look like Robert Patrick. It's just that it looks like
just like a sheet
an
of paper
Oscar with legs. Like like an award.
You got a couple questions, right? Because the reason why they're heading up to this sort of like lava pit is to destroy the evidence and all that, like, destroy the arm, destroy the CPU, eventually destroy the Terminator, whatever. How do you program a T-1000? How do you program something that is liquid metal? How do you program, like, where is the CPU of the you know what I mean?
Right, yeah, it's got to be like are they nanobyte computers in the liquid? Like, what is it?
Like, is there a USB-C port somewhere that like
right, because he's basically a big Capri Sun. And it's like, how do you put like a computer in the back of this thing? All he is like this, like, right, this little liquid guy. Like, how do you how do you do that?
When Skynet sent him back through time, like, how did they give him the instructions?
Right, yeah. Like they just like spit on him. It's just like absorbs the liquid, and he's like, got it. That's how the T-1000 learns.
I
You
wasn't
spit on
I
him.
wasn't thinking of spit, by the way. I was thinking of something else.
You fucking idiot.
But then we get the hand-to-hand fight, right? Like the brutal man. Like they make this feel so heavy and weighty, and they do such a great job of it. Like that, this isn't two stunt guys just fighting. It's two actual 3-ton robots. It's so good.
Oh, the shot going down the barrel of the grenade launcher to like it's out of focus and then focuses
Because he's got
Arnold
the red on
like,
his face as well, and yeah, the steel colors here mixed with the brighter, more warm colors is beautiful, man. I love the way the Terminator gets his hand stuck in the cog, and the T-1000 just ramming that giant thing in his face. Ugh.
Yeah, you really start to because I think he even says like, yeah, the T-1000 is definitely more efficient than me. It's a better killing machine. Or that might be T3. I can't remember. But he knows the fact that he's like an obsolete model, and it's like, man, I'm doing everything I can, but like, what's the point of even having a pistol? Like, it's not going to do anything. All it's going to do is just eat. It's like shooting Arnold with the pistol. It's like, dude, you would have to put 1,000 rounds into him to even start to put in a dent, so it's like you do feel kind of like hopeless against the T-1000. It's like, dude, get a fire extinguisher, like to like fucking hose him down. And and another use of twins here with Leslie and Linda Hamilton.
Yeah, well, just before that, so
my bad.
No. I love him kind of like going up against Sarah. Sarah puts up such a great fight, and look, dude, like the moment the moment where the T-1000's got her is like when he takes that like big step forward and he just like smashes her with his finger, like just oh god. But yeah, like I said, Sarah like puts in a great fight because she just, like she manages to shotgun him in the face, and he gets like the big fucking liquid hole, dude.
Looks so good still. Like maybe not the reforming, like it doesn't look just perfect, but the shot of him turning around with the hole in his face just still looks unbelievable.
And she wants like the T-1000's like, call to John, like just but at this point the T-800 is incapacitated. He's been stabbed through the abdomen. And yeah, this is where we get the twins. Linda Hamilton's actual twin. It's just brilliant filmmaking, man. Like, make use of your assets. I guess this was luck, but if your actor or actress has a twin and you need a duplicate in the film, don't CG them. Just use the actual twin.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and what fucking luck for her to have a twin. Like, yeah, we'll use your twin, put her in this scene. Like, same thing for the the scene of them in the garage when they're taking the CPU out of his head. Like that, like it looks like a mirror, but that's actually Leslie Hamilton. And I think the real Arnold is in the reflection, and they put like a dummy in the actual shot. And it's like, oh, that's cool.
And then, yeah, man, like just the determination of Sarah, like coming around that corner and just like blasting the T-1000, and he's about to go into the lava, and she runs out of ammo, and then here comes the Terminator, man, like just like up the cog and blasts him with the grenade launcher, and the grenade gets stuck inside him, and the reaction of Robert Patrick, just like, oh fuck, and then boom. And then you get this very thing-like creature as it like snarls, and
whoa,
this is otherworldly, man.
This movie must have like skyrocketed the sale of shotguns. Like that spaz Russian looking shotgun here at the end, and then I don't know what. I guess that's a lever action shotgun. I don't know anything about guns. That he's riding on the motorcycle as he's like slinging it, like reloading it. It's like, dude.
Yeah, in Call of Duty, it was called the Model 1887. That's what it was in Call of Duty.
That's right. I like the AA-12, the automatic one. That thing's fucking dope.
The one that Terry Crews has in the Expendables is like, yeah.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, that Thing kind of level of like John Carpenter. What the fuck? Like,
Yeah,
and
what am I looking
the,
at? You just see his head
yes.
coming up over the top, like.
Yes, and like all the noises and stuff, and like the fact that it's the most emotion this thing has shown like the whole time, where it's like, whoa, what the fuck is going on, man? Like I've never had this happen before. Talk about Mondays, am I right?
This is one of those movies, man. When like I wish I was alive in 1991 to experience this in the cinema. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
oh sure,
just but yeah, like I love that it cycles through each of the appearances and forms that it's taken in the lava, and
yeah,
it's harrowing, man. But let's get to the waterworks. Let's get to the waterworks moment of this movie.
Why you do this to me? No, I'm just kidding. No, yeah, it's absolutely brutal. Because now, and something I wanted to talk about too was like, besides obviously the no fate is what you make, and it's just an action movie. There's a great kind of message in there about fatherhood, and kind of like there's this like paternal kind of thing of John basically is kind of like his own father to a certain point. It's like he had to take the action to basically make his own father meet his mother, and it's this very interesting thing of the closest thing that John has to a father is the T-800, and it's these two things where it's like I like the fact that John can kind of like relate to the T-800, because it's like, yeah, we're basically both just parts of a machine with no choice. Like I was just born into this and I've been hunted my whole life, and it's like I was just born to this and I've just killed people my whole life. It's there's this like parallel about them just being like pawns in like a war, and I know John grows up to be a leader and stuff, but he's not right now, and he's still being basically like he is like a MacGuffin, like he is being as a character, like he has to be protected. And I like seeing that while we see John kind of growing up to be the great leader that he's going to be a little bit in this, obviously he's still got a long way to go. You start to see the more like humanizing side of the Terminator in him. It's not like he defected and questioned his beliefs. He was reprogrammed, but the fact that he was reprogrammed and kind of like understood like humanity's point of view at the end of the movie is like, that's, I think what's super important is like that father son kind of relationship. And how many times do you clash with your father over like not being on the same page and not seeing things from each other's point of view? And I feel like this movie does a good job of that at the end.
Yeah, no, I think you definitely hit the nail on the head, man. Like this, like the relationship between the Terminator and John absolutely needs to work for this moment to work. And what you said about the Terminator learning and understanding humanity's point of view, I also think that goes double, like also goes for Sarah as well. I love that Sarah doesn't bitch and moan here about the Terminator not going into the lava. Like she absolutely understands that this needs to happen. You know what I mean? Like she tells John like let's say your goodbyes. He needs to go in. I love that she understands that, because you know what, man? Any other movie, like the protagonist would be like, no, it's okay, don't go. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's just like, come on, man. Like this needs to happen for humanity to survive.
There would be some kind of like, oh, we were able to something and build a machine that did that, and it's like, no, he's got to go. Like, and what is he gonna do? Like hang out and become friends with you and stuff? Like
have coffee and shit.
Right. Well, and one thing I think that's important about the extended edition that I don't think is in like the theatrical cut is his ability to learn now. And like he can actually like process and it makes the ending of this way better, of him being like, I know now why you cry. And it's like, I've been studying you, because since this movie's happened, like he's seen John, Sarah, Miles Dyson, like he's seen all sorts of different people cry, and he's like, what is this? And there's a great scene in the the extended cut where John's like, are you ever afraid? And he's like, no. And he's like, you never think about being afraid or anything like that. And it really like adds a lot of weight to the scene at the end. And, him just kind of accepting his fate and being like, yeah, I'm a Terminator and I have missions. And once that mission is complete, what do I do now? There's no place for me here. You can't send me back to my own time. So let's just call it a day.
Absolutely.
It just makes the most sense.
And you know what, man, just from a writing perspective, having the Terminator not being able to self-terminate and putting the burden
Yes.
of destroying it in Sarah and John's hands is brutal for your characters, but just such great like determination work. Like, this needs to happen.
What do you think about the thumbs up?
I like the thumbs up. It's I know it's cheesy, and I know we never like saw John teach it to the Terminator, right? Like we don't see him teach him the thumbs up.
No, I don't think so. But I don't know. So
yeah, I always liked it.
I might have missed something.
I always liked it.
I'm okay with a hand gesture, but I don't know about the thumbs up. I feel
putting
like,
up, he flipping the bird.
he's just he's shooting him with the finger, but with the thumb, like the full flick off. No, I mean I wouldn't mind like just a hand sticking up as he goes under.
He does
cool.
I'm fine with the West Side like Crips and Bloods.
Yeah. He starts like signing a very detailed personal message, and he's like, "All right, no, I can't. You're dead."
Oh, that's great. And then we get a very brief sort of like coda after that. It's just like the shot of like the dark street. I face the future for the first time with a sense of hope, because if a Terminator can learn the value of human life, maybe we can too. Like, just such a hopeful ending, It's great. And then cut to black, and that's it. Like, I love that it doesn't overstay its welcome, It just ends.
Well, the other ending, right?
Yeah, what was the other ending again?
It's Sarah aged up, and she's in like a lot of like like makeup, and she's supposed to be like 50, 60, maybe 70 years old, and John
does she look better than she actually does now? Because she looks like Mickey Rourke right now. She looks like Mickey Rourke in Dark Fate. I'm not even kidding.
I haven't seen her in a while.
Yeah.
No, I think she's like severely aged up, and then John is like a senator, and he has
I didn't know
kids,
this at all.
They're playing on like a future playground. It's like the year 20 whatever, because John's like a grown man, and that I think was the original ending. And then like last minute, James Cameron's like, "Nah, I don't want to do that," and just cut the. That's why this movie. I mean, it kind of ends abruptly.
It does.
At least like the first Terminator kind of ends with her driving off into the storm, and it's like a very visually pleasing kind of ending. But this one is just like boom, it's done. But I don't really know. I'm not really mad about that. Like, what else does this movie have to?
I quite like this ending.
Hours.
Yeah, I quite like this ending because
our story is done.
You can watch 1 and 2 and just call it a day. Like, you don't need to watch 3. You don't need to watch 4, 5, 6. This is the ending. Like they've averted Judgment Day. You know what I mean? Like, that's it. It's done.
Right, exactly. There's no other point. Like, I mean, maybe if you want to do like some character stuff, but I definitely wouldn't want to see like anything like, let's set up John. We have to become resistant. No. Well,
you don't want to see a movie where John meets his wife?
That I don't mind. That one I don't. But dude,
yeah.
It makes me think of that Back to the Future when Stewie, goes. Stewie's like time traveling. And Meg in the future becomes Ron, and she meets the guy, and she's like, "Ron, I really like that name, Ron." It's like, I hate that shit in time travel movies. Like Back to the Future, I fucking hate that. I'm like, God, this is so annoying,
dude. I know it's not really like what you're talking about, but they do that in the Solo Star Wars movie. Did you know about this?
Oh God.
So
no,
because it's a prequel. He walks up to an Imperial officer, like it's kind of like a customs thing, like he's kind of like getting transport, and he's like, "Oh, you're alone. What should I write your name down as?"
Oh God! It took me a second. That's the sad part.
It's so bad. God. All right, let's get to some comments. I'm eating something, so you can start.
Okay. Yeah, I've got in our group, the After Party. I'm going to read Danielle Catez. Let me see here. Thank you guys for commenting. Thank you, Danielle. Lovely comment. Let me see here. Oh no, I don't want to do that. Come on now. Don't do this to me. Okay. Although I prefer the original Terminator to T2, I can still admit it's basically flawless film. It's basically a flawless film, and maybe the best sequel of all time. It also might be the best acting Schwarzenegger has ever done. That's actually pretty accurate.
I completely agree with that statement. Yeah.
The bond he forms with John Connor and his willingness to sacrifice himself for his charge carries a huge emotional weight, and I can't make it through the end of this movie without crying. Fair enough. Linda Hamilton as Sarah Connor is a complete contrast to her character in the first movie. Again, something that's not easy to pull off. Her toughness, her willingness to get her hands dirty, her drive to protect her child from harm, being removed from his life, something I've always felt gutted her, and make her one of the best, if not the best, female of action hero. Yes, thank you. That's kind of what we touched on earlier. Witnessing her grit and determination remind me so much of Kyle Reese, something that infuses the film with his presence, even though he's not physically there. Yeah, actually, that's a really good point. I didn't even think about that. Furlong does a great job melding John's desire to be part of a unit or family while attempting to maintain a blasé attitude when it comes to the authority figures that surround him. He's a child who longs for his mom, but is also afraid to trust that anyone will stick around for him long term. That's part of why him losing his protector in the end is so heartbreaking. It's like what Sarah says in her voiceover. The machine will never hurt him, never leave him, is willing to die to protect him, something it inevitably does. And I think it's the first time in maybe his whole life he felt that kind of loyalty. It's amazing when you think about I'm sorry. I got to turn my brightness up on my computer. I'm a jackass.
Well, you are a
jackass. It's amazing when yeah. It's amazing when you think about it that James Cameron is responsible for this and Aliens, arguably the other best sequel of all time. He managed to build on the lore that was already so rich and make it even richer. People keep coming back to both of these franchises, hoping they'll match the prowess of the two films. None of them have, unfortunately. Really looking forward to hearing you guys talk about this one. I may have to watch it again before the episode airs, as it's been a few years, and this movie absolutely deserves rewatching as often as possible. Thank you, Danielle. That's a great comment. Yeah, man. Thank you very much.
That was badass, man. Danielle, we love you, man. But you know what?
Yes.
So we're reading 3 comments today. All 3 of these comments are from the trio, the dynamic trio. So So next I've got Jose. Badass Jose, man. I love you, man. He says, Terminator 2 was everywhere when I was a kid. I didn't get to see it in theaters, but I did see it on VHS at my grandmother's house. I remember being floored by the future scenes, as my only real context for the future in movies was Back to the Future Part 2. Seriously, what can I say about this movie that hasn't already been said? Well, I can say this. Terminator 2 has one of the best locations for a final battle. What a great idea to end it in a mill. There are so many action possibilities. Dude, just as an aside, that's 100% true. Like, I mean, what a location, like what a just what a strikingly visually beautiful location to do this at. You know what I mean?
Right. And the blues and the orange and the yellow is contrasting. Yeah.
And he says, I'm sure you guys are going to talk about the effects or the cast, which are great, but you know who else should get a shout out? Brad Fiddel's score. Tell me you're not thinking about the music that plays when John is on the bike, when the T-1000 is chasing the car, or that great moment when the Terminator comes back online and pulls the spike out of its body. Fiddel's music, much like good sequels in general, take what was amazing about the first movie and amps it up to something even more memorable. Also, anyone that didn't tear up when Arnold went into the molten steel and gave the thumbs up is an inhuman monster. Yeah, man. Like, Jose, you're absolutely spot on as always, dude. Like, that is absolutely astute.
Hell yeah. I totally agree. Let me see here. Oh, and we will end with Knick-Knack Paddywhack Patrick Harrington, my boy. Let's see here. Terminator 2 fucks. It's got amazing action, a great plot, and great performances. Arnold gets to stretch his muscles, pun intended. A lot more this go around is the T-800. Linda Hamilton is totally different Sarah Connor from the first movie in a good way. Is a totally different Sarah Connor. Sorry. Best action movie ever? Probably. One time, what time, what is it?
I think you're supposed to say what else overtakes it. God damn it, Patrick. Oh, okay. You literal illiterate fuck.
Let's go with that. What else overtakes? Some may say Die Hard, but I say nay. T2's plot is much more sophisticated. Aliens, perhaps? Great plot, some great dialogue and performances. Awesome. Oh, sorry. The rest of the comments about the awesome Mask of the Phantasm, which we will be covering in the green room over at patreon.com/midnight double feature. $5 a month, 2 extra episodes. We have some fun. So
that's it,
meet us
baby.
on over there.
That's it, baby. Jeremy Derry also says, I'm totally on board for this one. So thank you so much for tuning in, Jeremy, if you're still with us here. Man, what a movie. Definitely a top 10 movie of all time for me. I'm so glad that we covered this. This is one that we held back for a while because it's in that unwritten list of just movies that are so up there and iconic, and they've been done to death and spoken to death, and better podcasts like LSG Media and Hey Do You Remember have covered these movies. Like what the hell do us two jabronis have to add to the lexicon of this movie?
Right, we're just trying to make each other laugh with Arnold impressions.
Right,
and
that's completely it. That's completely it. And we're just gonna make sex jokes and do whatever to do and bungle our way through this movie. And that's exactly what we've done.
Look at hot female cops with pompadours.
Disagree.
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. There's one more. Ollie Brooks also said T2 is simply the best action film ever made and Arnie's best role. Didn't want to leave him out. Thanks for commenting, guy.
Oh shit, yeah, I missed that because he commented that on the other one. Yeah, my bad.
Right.
But well done, Ollie. Look, that's my closing thoughts. I love this movie. I watch it almost every year. I watched it at the movies. They re-released it, and it was incredible.
Oh, nice.
It was awesome. I'll never get sick of this movie. I thank this movie wholeheartedly for making me love action movies as a kid. For really introducing me to Arnold Schwarzenegger, and science fiction as a whole. Because honestly, like you said, Colin, and very correctly said, you can watch this movie on a surface level, just as an action science fiction movie, or you can like delve deeper and deeper into it. And as I grew up, I kept discovering different media talking about this movie, and I was able to go back and really discover what this movie was about and what it was talking about. And the idea is, like nothing is predestined and we can make our own destiny. And it truly tells a story that only science fiction can tell. And,
right.
This is something that I speak to Stephanie about as well, because Steph, for the longest time, thought that science fiction was just like Star Wars and Star Trek. And I was like, no, like science fiction can be so much more. Science fiction can be Minority Report. Science fiction can be Ex Machina. Like you can do so many things in the realm of science fiction, and the best science fiction movies do that. The best science fiction movies talk about stories that really that really matter to us as humans, and where we're going and where we don't want to go and where we should go.
Right.
And I think that this does this in a big bad way.
Yeah, they're almost always like cautionary tales, of like, and I think Cameron is a big, I think he had a lot of anxieties about nuclear war at the time. I think that's what inspired a lot of this movie. But yeah, echoing all your same thoughts, echoing all your same sentiments. We hear you. No, I definitely love this movie, and it's one of the first like big movies I can remember. I remember being in Boy Scouts in second grade, and we were playing charades, and like every other kid was doing Terminator.
Stop right there.
It was like
Stop. You were in Boy Scouts?
Oh, I did it for like 3 months. I did the Pinewood Derby and dropped out. I didn't care anymore. It was boring. I didn't want to go like camping and get molested and shit.
I was gonna say, did you blink twice,
canteen boy,
blink twice,
from like
baby.
SNL. Yeah, no, I did it, had some fun, went and did it for maybe a season or something, and then never did it again. But I can the impact of this movie on a kid in that age, it was just absolutely massive. It came out the year after I was born, so it's pretty much always been around. I've always, had this on VHS or on DVD and then Blu-ray. Now I bought it on digital. It is on sale on at Fandango for like $5 for the extended cut. So definitely worth it.
That's a big sale for one of the greatest movies of all time.
Right. Absolutely. So I had a lot of blast. You want me to beam us out of here?
Get us out of here, Scotty.
Excellent. Guys, thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of this big fat ass fucking episode. We hope you enjoyed it. We're going to go talk about Mask of the Phantasm over on our bonus feed. Of course, like I said, patreon.com/midnight double feature. It's called The Green Room, $5 a month. You get 2 extra episodes, and check out our Breaking Bad podcast called Bad Crystal. This is where we go through every episode of Breaking Bad. I have not seen them before. Zoheb has seen it like 5 times. So he's like my guide through it. And we kind of play a guessing game of what's happening next, even though I have no idea what's going on. So that's a lot of fun. I'm excited to get back into it and crank out some more of those episodes. But we had a lot of fun doing this. Maybe we'll finally, go and do like Dark Fate or something just to kind of have like a fun movie to hate watch. Because I definitely want to see them now. I want to now I have to finish all of the Terminator movies now that we started this. But we hope you enjoyed this one. We'll catch you on the next one and have a good night. Bye.